ABC Sports proudly presents Game 3 in our exclusive coverage of the Bowl Championship Series.
Count the years. Count the victories.
I get to the ball. Let's go.
Count the number of lives they've touched. Add up the titles and testimonials. Half the total would be enough to secure their place in history. Two of the all-time greats.
The Nittany Lions found the national champion.
Bobby Bowden, he finally got it perfect.
But there is no measuring pride, no calculus for weighing character, no ceiling on the satisfaction a winning season can bring. So on they went, building legacies for themselves, their communities, their schools.
The milestone of 300 has been reached. His second national championship.
They've been accused of failing to see the writing on the wall, but these 70-somethings are still answering the call. Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden.
He's still got the fire, doesn't he?
Still in the game, still in their prime. And tonight, heads ahead in the FedEx Orange Bowl. And is there a more appropriate place for two 70-somethings to meet than where generations have come to retire? Welcome to Miami, Florida, and Dolphin Stadium. The 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. Champions of the Big Ten, number 3 Penn State. Champions of the ACC, Florida State. The telecast available in high definition on ABC HD. Presented by DLP Picture Technology. Age 76, 359 wins, Bobby Bowden. Age 79, 353 wins, Joe Paterno. We've never had a meeting like this in the history of football. Good evening, everyone. Mike Tirico. Welcome to Miami. It is the penultimate game of this college football season, but the ultimate coaching matchup. 712 wins between the two guys. We've never seen the likes of that. You know, since the matchup came out, they both said, this isn't about us. It's not about Joe and Bobby. But for one of the rare times in their lives, their coaching fell on deaf ears. All the buildup has been about the legendary matchup. I sat down with the two guys yesterday and asked them, why at age 76 and 79 are you two still going strong?
Well, you know, I like it. I mean, I don't see any reason to get out of it because, you know, the worst thing man ever did was invent the calendar.
Yeah. That's true.
You wouldn't know how old you are unless somebody told you, I'm 79, Bobby's 77 or 76. I mean, I like what I'm doing. What the devil, what do I want to get out of it?
I don't care how old you get. If your health is good, it don't make no difference. You know, and that is true. That's good advice to any of you young guys. If you've got good health, who cares how old you are, you know? I'm like this. I'd rather do this than retire, you know? So if the health stays good, if I can win enough darn games to keep from getting fired. You ever seen a 76-year-old fired guy? I still think it can happen.
The captains meeting at midfield for the coin toss here of the 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. Both teams ready to enter. Dolphin Stadium here in Miami. Bobby Bowden and the Noles come out not like individuals running out with individual demonstrative displays, but in unison, walking out as one, something they did against Virginia Tech. Senior starters at the front, Bowden in the midst, and then the rest of the Noles follow behind. ACC champions for the 12th time in 14 years. 8th appearance in the Orange Bowl. First bowl game in 3 years. First BCS game in 9 years. First Orange Bowl in 20 years. The champions of the Big Ten, Penn State. Joe Paterno against Bobby Bowden, the two legends. We go down to our sideline reporter, Erin Andrews, standing by with Coach Bowden.
All right, Coach. Well, you gave your team such an inspirational speech before they went out and won the ACC championship. What did you tell them before they took the field tonight?
Well, I told them we've got to play with the same intensity, and we've got to execute. I think the big key in this ball game, don't turn the ball over.
All right, Coach, thanks. Mike?
Thank you, Aaron. Up until this point, it has been about Bobby and Joe. But now it's about the kids. Now it's about the players. Now it's the way these guys want it. Their coaching will factor in, and we'll take you over their 80 years combined of head coaching over the next 3.5 hours. But settle in for two pretty good football teams as well. Toss won by Penn State. Nittany Lions defer the option to the second half. So Florida State will receive.
A couple things early in this game, Mike, to keep an eye on. And just heard Bobby Bowden touch on one of the big things for Florida State, and that is not turning the football over. It's something that hurt them. You look at their 4 losses this year, that was something that hurt them. They've got to be able to protect the ball with a young quarterback against Joe Paterno and one of the best defenses in college football. And the other thing is Bobby Bowden's team has to start fast tonight, Mike. That's what they were able to do against Virginia Tech. Not only does it give you an opportunity, but it gives yourself a belief as an underdog that you can compete against this Penn State team and beat them.
The pregame pageantry has left the traditional cloud of smoke in the arena. Warm day, temperature hit the 80s in South Florida, and as we said, only appropriate that it's in the mid-70s right before kickoff tonight. And here are the numbers on the two. You see their years, the victories. Paterno set the all-time win mark in 2001. Bowden going past him almost 2 years to the day after that. Both have been national champions twice, and if Bobby wins tonight, they'll be tied for the most bowl wins at 20. Penn State has a freshman kicker, Kevin Kelly, who's set to boot it away. For Penn State. Great setting here. 15 miles north of the Orange Bowl Stadium. This Dolphin Stadium, as it's now known, open 18 years. Home of the Dolphins, the Marlins. 3 Super Bowls, and now the best coaching matchup ever. Through the back of the end zone, Florida State will start at its own 20. For the 13th time, an FSU game this year started by their freshman quarterback.
Drew Weatherford, Florida State freshman quarterback from Land O'Lakes, Florida. The quarterback I'd emulate myself after would have to be the great Brett Favre.
Drew Weatherford was handed the reins this year in Tallahassee, and over Bobby Bowden's tenure, that is rare that a freshman gets to do that. He had some very good moments in September and October, struggled in November, that 3-game losing streak, but bounced back with a solid performance against Virginia Tech. We're going to see a lot of this tonight. Spread out, one back. It begins from the 20 with Leon Washington. Loss of 1, Alan Zamitis, one of the 5th-year senior quarterbacks on the tackle. Now let's take a look at the FedEx starting lineups. Washington just touched it, starts at running back. Young, talented receivers, but senior Willie Reed, the most reliable. Offensive line, they've lost 3 would-be starters to season-ending injuries. David Castillo, a senior, an academic All-American. He's had 8 surgeries, 2 on his hands, but he still wants to be a doctor and go to med school. He will be important. They can't afford to lose an offensive lineman in the game tonight. Loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Weatherford, incomplete. Off the hands of Chris Davis, junior receiver. 3rd down coming up. This is, as Kirk said, one of the nation's best defenses. Consensus All-America Tom Bahali led the Big Ten in sacks with 11. Alfred Sean Rice, pretty good as well. Paul Puslesny won the Butkus Award. Best linebacker in the nation with Shaw and Connor. 4 50-year seniors in the back. Zamitis has already made a play with Harrell, Lowry, and Anwar Phillips. 3rd and 11. Penn State changes what they were showing Weatherford, who throws complete to Willie Reed. The senior to the 41, gain of 22. 1st down, FSU.
But Drew Weatherford, Mike, give him a great start here. To get a good start here to the 3rd and long. Penn State brings 2 linebackers. They're bringing pressure. Dan Connor comes free for the outside. Drew Weatherford felled him, released the football. He had a one-on-one matchup with a great receiver against a safety, and he'll take that matchup every time. A nice big conversion there for Florida State on 3rd and long.
See if the Noles go to the run for the first time here tonight. Here comes the senior Washington into the secondary. Gains 10, first down, Florida State on back-to-back plays. Tim Shaw, the middle backer, along with Dan Connor, made the tackle.
You're going to see Florida State tonight for the most part, maybe 80% of the time, they're going to be in a shotgun with Drew Weatherford. But they have to be able to mix in enough run to make Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator from Penn State, and this great Nittany Lion defense respect that aspect. He can't just be in the shotgun every time. There's a great call there by Jeff Bowden after the conversion on 3rd down.
There's a tall, game-changing receiver for FSU. His number's 89. His name is Greg Carr. He's 6'6". Weatherford adjusts the play. And throws behind his intended receiver, Jacody Fagg. An incomplete. Anwar Phillips had the coverage. We talked about the Noles season this year. We mentioned 8-4 through November without a win. When's the last time you could say that about Florida State? But their key wins were the bookends over a number 9 ranked team at that point, Miami, and Virginia Tech in the inaugural ACC title game in the northern part of the state up in Jacksonville.
Like a lot of quick stuff for Florida State, and Drew Weatherford with a banged-up offensive line against a great D-line. You've got to get him back and get rid of the football.
2nd and 10 against the 4-man rush. The screen is over the head of Washington, and incomplete. 3rd down coming up. Kirk, why is Florida State's offense this year not the Florida State offense that we have come to know dominate the ACC?
Well, it's an offense that has had to go through some growing pains and create an identity, and it took them until they got to the latter part of the year to really settle in with what they wanted to do. With the injuries to the offensive line, they've had to settle on this 4 wide receiver set, being in the shotgun for the most part. And Jeff Bowden has put himself now, I think, in a position where against Virginia Tech, there was a lot of shotgun and a lot of quick throws with Drew Weatherford to protect his offensive line. You'll see the same tonight with Weatherford.
Penn State bails, plays deep coverage, screen set up for Washington, brought down by Jay Alford. The defensive lineman who had 7 sacks this year. All their attention goes to Tom Bahali. He made a great play. A penalty marker, as you see, came down right at the spot of the tackle. Big East officials here tonight. Jerry McGinn is our referee.
Like Willie Reed and Paul Puslesny got caught up and tangled, and I think Willie Reed may have come in there with a late hit on Puslesny.
Dead ball. Personal foul on the offense. Number 26. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. 4th down.
The call, Kirk. Bring it back 15 yards farther against the most valuable player of Florida State's win in the ACC title game. You see the field judge, Ben Vasconcelos, coming over to tell him why this was a flag.
Whistle is blown already. It's a late hit. Willie Reed's going to get called for that. And Mike, Florida State, when you're an underdog and you play a team that's so fundamentally sound like Penn State, you've got to do the little things to give yourself a chance to win.
Chris Hall kicks. Calvin Lowry receives. Not a good kick. Lowry on the run. Fair catches it at the 34. Good field position. The punt was only 30 yards. Penn State, Nittany Lion offense. His final game in blue and white.
Michael Robinson, quarterback, Cap City, Richmond, Virginia. As I was growing up, I looked up to Randall Cunningham.
And like so many young men, he was not a quarterback to begin with. He was an athlete. Find a place for him. He played running back, was their 2nd leading wide receiver. Sprinkled in at quarterback as a diversion from Zach Mills. His job since the day the season ended last year, and he was the offensive most valuable player of the Big Ten this year.
He's impacted this Penn State offense as much as any quarterback this year in college football.
Does that include Vince Young at Texas?
Yes, it does.
First down, in trouble, brought down. Noles swarming. Sam McGrew, linebacker, and Ernie Sims get there at the same time. FedEx starting lineup, Nittany Lion ball handlers. Tony Hunt went over 1,000 yards. 10th Nittany Lion to do that. No Derek Williams, the freshman star, out with a broken arm. 4 fifth-year seniors up front, and Levi Brown. Brown the best second-team All-American for this unit that scores 35 points a game, 12th in the country, second in their conference. Losses 2. Second and 12. Robinson has his running back Hunt to block. Gets to about the 37-yard line. Buster Davis made the tackle. The Noles are strong up front. Cameron Wimbley, their defensive end who missed the last 3 games with injury, is back. Roderick Bunkley is second in tackles for loss in the country. Linebacker Sam McGrew joins the starting lineup. A.J. Nicholson sent home for breaking team rules with Buster Davis and Ernie Sims. They all have to step up a little bit. Very young corners. Safety Pat Watkins, 10 career interceptions. He's from Tallahassee. Davis moving over because of the Nicholson absence. Sam McGrew moving into the lineup. Third down. Robinson pressured screen to Hunt. Tried to let the blockers work for him, but it was caught from behind at the 39-yard line. Lawrence Timmons, or the 41, I should say. Lawrence Timmons the tackle, Ernie Simmons the pressure, and the Noles get the Lions off the field.
Well, Mike, that time Florida State rushed 3 initially, but then they brought 2 linebackers. Ernie Sims coming up the middle and Buster Davis. That pressure affected the timing between Robinson and Hunt on the screen, and you can really see the Florida State speed that time chase Tony Hunt down from behind.
Good kicker, Jeremy Capanos. Good punt return man, Willie Reed. See if the Noles try to challenge Capanos early. Well protected, beautiful kick, 51 yards. Reed from the 9 has room. Willie Reed up the middle to the 38-yard line. Boy, was he speeding. Nick Yoakum, the tackle. Each team's had the ball once. The Noles get it the second time in good field position in Miami. Scoreless first quarter here in Miami. NFL playoffs kick off with Wild Card Saturday on ABC. Washington taking on Tampa Bay, a little north of here. Then in primetime, Jacksonville in New England to take on Tom Brady and the Patriots. Our coverage begins 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC, home of Super Bowl 40, a month and a couple of days away from downtown Detroit. Florida State picked up 2 first downs. Penn State none. Drive start from the 38. This is Lorenzo Booker, the second running back, perhaps as good as one back, Washington. We have a flag down behind the play. We again had receivers and DBs for Penn State continuing their blocking, and they've been flagged.
Mike, the emotion of this game, such a long layoff, the build-up and the hype. You've seen it in a lot of these bowl games.
Crackback block, illegal below the waist on Florida State.
The challenge for some of these teams early is to just settle into the game. Get back to what your coaches have been talking about for the last 2.5, 3 weeks once you started the game plan for this particular matchup. And the emotions sometimes get the best of you, and we've already seen that on both sides.
Against the offense, number 5, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Repeat first down.
Chris Davis, the wide receiver.
This is something that Florida State has done most of the years. They like to try to get physical with their receivers downfield when they do run the football. And it's just, I didn't see a chop block there.
That wasn't the flag. The flag was on Davis, but that's Fred Rouse.
Yeah, on the outside.
Going with Anwar Phillips. You see the tone FSU is trying to send here in the early going. It's a spot foul from where it ended. That's why it's 1st and 23. Weatherford throws. Nice job to adjust to the ball by Greg Carr. 28th catch of the year for this freshman who is 6'6".
This Florida State offense cannot afford, obviously, to continue to go backwards because it's going to put them in 1st and long, eventually 3rd and long. Carr's their go-to guy, typically down the field. But where he's improved the most throughout his freshman year is because he's so dangerous down the field, they're taking advantage of him now more underneath because corners are dropping so far off the line against him. Second and 16, play clock at 5.
Lorenzo Booker. Brought down by Paul Posluszny, the junior from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. 12th first-team All-America linebacker at Penn State.
He has been all over every field he has been on, and he's one of the most instinctive linebackers, Mike, that we've seen in years in college football. And it's because he's just a guy that works at it. He has a lot of natural abilities. When you talk to Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator, and the other defensive coaches, they just say he is the total package. We always hear the quarterbacks have it.
Yep.
They say that Paul Posluszny has it when it comes to being a great linebacker.
And linebacker it is nasty. 3rd and 16. Booker screen. Runs away from Paxson. Flag comes in as Booker goes down at the 34-yard line. We talk about speed in Florida State all the time. You see Penn State's defensive speed. They swarm to the ball from all over. Another flag on the nose.
Penn State will decline his set of 4th down. But
on the offense, number 63.
When you see a defense
4th down
running to the football, it's not only about speed, it's about an attitude. It's about, kind of like in basketball, it's an attitude about going up and rebounding. And in college football and pro football, when you see teams that swarm to the ball, it's the speed and also the heart desire to want to get to the football. And that might be Penn State's greatest strength, collectively, the desire to bring down a ball carrier.
Chris Hall to kick it. This one a better kick. Line driver, 52 yards, hauled in by Lowry at the 14. Well covered on special teams. Pat Watkins, a starting safety, was right there and shut it down. Penn State 3 and out on the opening drive. We'll see what they do when we come back to the FedEx Orange Bowl. Halfway through the first. Down at Dolphin Stadium for 80 years, one of America's most recognizable image, the Goodyear blimp. Goodyear provides these aerial views tonight and reminds you to be prepared in any weather at any time with Goodyear's new Forterra triple tread tires. With Aaron Andrews and Kirk Herbstreit, Mike Tirico. Second to last game of the season. Tomorrow night, the Rose Bowl presented by Citi. The national championship, #1 USC, #2 Texas. Tonight, it's 1 and 2 in major college coaching wins. Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden. Drive start from the 15. The 1,000-yard back hunt is out. Austin Scott is in. He gains 6.5 yards. Tyler Hall and Tony Carter make the tackle. Scott, a junior, only had 163 rushing yards this year.
Mike, you're going to see Tony Hunt get his opportunities, but Michael Robinson has accounted for 62% of Penn State's offense this year and makes so many big plays, running and throwing, and also being such a great leader. I remember seeing Michael in Chicago at the Big Ten Media Luncheon in late July, and he had a look in his eye. But even back then, before one game was played, he said, "Kirk, it's going to be a special year for Penn State." And, you know, he'd look in his eye, and I knew he was probably telling the truth.
Justin King, the receiver, lined up in the backfield. Here he goes, using that speed to the edge. Showed the sideline by Sam McGrew with a first down over at the 30-yard line. This is the difference with Penn State. They've got speed in the skill spots now.
This is the area that's hurt them for the last few years, is lack of speed on the perimeter. This is the position that Derek Williams would typically be, the other true freshman that had such an impact early in the year. But Justin King has settled in on the offensive side for the most part this year. Next year, he'll probably be a starting corner. But he has stepped in mainly at receiver, but that time lined up at tailback and picks up the first down.
23 touches this season. He averages about 15 per. Now Robinson on play action. Got a nice block from his fullback. It throws wide open to Ethan Kilmer. Kilmer, who never played high school football, went to Shippensburg, a smaller school in Pennsylvania, came to Penn State, walked on. As a fifth-year senior, has been turned to offense, his 10th catch of the season.
Well, this is vintage Penn State this year, mixing up the play calling, sometimes under center, sometimes in shotgun. With the success of the running game on this drive, it sets up the misdirection and the play action. You can see Florida State's secondary lost Kilmer completely when he came on the second level on the backside behind Smolko. Great call there, mixing it up here on this drive by Galen Hall.
That gain, 25. Movement looked to be Isaac Smolko, the tight end, at the top of your screen. This would be the first flag on Penn State tonight.
Prior to snap, false start on the offense. Number 74. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Tyler Reed called, could have gotten smoked those way.
Just saw a shot at Galen Hall, the offensive coordinator, and it was almost like he got a new set of keys to the car when he had an opportunity to go out and run this offense, because, Mike, that's what's happened to Penn State for the last 5 years. Everybody has put 8 and 9 guys up tight to the line of scrimmage and stopped their running game because they didn't have any threat on the edge. Now with the freshmen, they have that.
First and 15. Scott again to the 39. They get 12 out of the running back position.
For Florida State to stop this balanced attack from Michael Robinson at Penn State, they've got to win the point of attack. They have to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. They were able to do that on the first drive, and now you're seeing Penn State get physical, mix the play calling up, and slow down what we saw, the speed of Florida State early. They have them back on their heels a little bit more on this drive.
Gain of 12, second and 3. Play action against pressure. Downfield for Deion Butler. Incomplete. Hall flying over from the safety spot to help J.R. Bryant. The cornerback will have third down coming up. Butler caught 36, a freshman record, and one of the reasons Michael Robinson has been so successful this year has been all of the speed that came in. But it really started, Kirk, before the season. He was working during the summer, getting those young pups acclimated to the offense they were about to learn.
The best thing I heard in getting ready for this game from Michael Robinson was that he said the freshmen never bought into the hype. They came in and wanted to work from the very beginning, and that's helped them mold as a team.
Scott up the middle. Austin Scott, first down, Penn State. So all the pub about the 1,000-yard rusher, Tony Hunt. Austin Scott busts another one for 28.
Just never know with Joe Paterno what might happen when you have such a long time to prepare. This time Scott lined up on the inside, and it's a trap here. What a great block by Charles Rush. The play opens up, it hits quick, and it's a new little wrinkle from Galen Hall, and having this much time to prepare, something Florida State has not seen. Scott lined up at fullback.
Here he goes again, probing. Austin Scott down to the 2-yard line. What a start for Scott out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. He was supposed to be the next great running back. Came in as a freshman, had 436 yards, but then he struggled. Somebody was too big, slowed down in the Big Ten, only had 150 yards. This is a guy who was labeled with the next Maurice Clarett tag out of high school when he came to college. They thought he would make an impact like Clarett did his freshman year when he took Ohio State to the national championship. He has 4 carries, 55 yards on this drive. Brandon Snow, the fullback, leads the way. Scott finds the opening and into the end zone. Touchdown, Penn State. Kevin Kelly, the freshman, who had 46 extra points on the season. Out of the hold of Jason Ganter. Second touchdown of the year for Scott.
Mike, actually a great job here again by Austin Scott. This time reading the blocks and cutting back. The hole was designed off to the right, made the right read and cut back to the left and took it into the end zone.
His first touchdown since September 10th, game 2 against Cincinnati.
You're watching the FedEx Orange Bowl on ABC Sports.
7-0 Penn State. Pretty good drive, 85 yards, and Austin Scott did most of nothing during the regular season. He only ran for 163 yards, had 57 on that drive alone for Joe Paterno, and gets the first touchdown on the board here tonight.
Not only being able to pick up the yardage, Mike, but moving up in the backfield, lining up as a fullback, the quick hitter, and running right at the Florida State defense.
Kevin Kelly's kickoff. Punt at the 4 by Kenny O'Neill, with lots of room to run. Taken out of bounds at the 38-yard line by Calvin Lowry, the starting defensive back. Nice 36-yard return. Florida State again with good field position. The touchdown drive led by Penn State's senior quarterback, Michael Robinson. Second drive turns into 7 for the Nittany Lions tomorrow night, being billed as the best championship game in college football history. We'll see if it's remembered as such. Number 1 USC, 34 wins in a row. Number 2 Texas, 19 straight. National championship game, Rose Bowl game presented by City tomorrow night on ABC. Nothing going at the start of the third drive for Florida State. The inability to run the ball, that's Anton Smith, the freshman out of Pahokee here in Florida, with a loss of a couple. There's our Nokia game comparison, and Kirk, it's bad enough that Florida State doesn't run it well, because Penn State stops a good run pretty well.
Right, the last thing you want to do if you're Jeff Bowden is get behind. When Florida State has gotten behind this year, they have struggled. And now you're already one-dimensional, but when you become even more predictable, I think you start to panic as a play caller.
Second and 11, Weatherford lost the ball as he tried to come through. Incomplete forward pass. Pressure was on. Weatherford almost tried to stop it before he pulled the trigger and lost it, they say, on the field on the way through.
Like Florida State in their 4 losses, the thing that all 4 of those losses have in common is the opponent has scored first. And that is why Drew Weatherford, he just lost control of the football there after he came through. This is an important third down early in the game to try to get some momentum back here for the Noles.
Third down conversion stats can be a little misleading. This is 3rd and 12 on average length tonight. This one specifically 3rd and 11. And pressure from Dan Connor. Weatherford looking to run a marker down behind the play as he gets popped by the whole linebacking core from linebacker U. Connor, Shaw, and Puzlesny. Another flag against Florida State. They'll decline it, and it'll be 4th down.
Problem, obviously, for Florida State is going to be pass protection, especially on 3rd down. Their offensive line now called twice for holding. Both decline on 3rd down.
Number 75. Penalties decline. 4th down.
That time, Henderson is trying to go up against one of the best pass rushers in all of college football, Tom Ali, on the outside. He actually does a good job at the beginning here, but as he continues on, quarterback takes off, he gets a hold of the jersey and gets called for holding. By that point, Weatherford had already escaped from the pocket.
Florida State in early trouble. No, it's only 7-0, but it doesn't feel like they're in it right now. Beautiful kick by Hall, 53 yards. Lowry spun back from the 7. 3 flags are down behind the play as he's taken down at the 24 by Roger Williams, the backup safety. Jerry McGinn and crew have been quite busy here in the first 11.5 minutes.
They're pushing it back. This Florida State team.
Legal block in the back. During a return, Penn State, number 46. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Mike, this Florida State defense with their offense still trying to just find something, has to take advantage of the field position and try to put some pressure now on Michael Robinson in this Penn State offense.
Great drive by Austin Scott, the running back. Let's go down to Aaron Andrews, find out about Tony Hunt, the starting back.
Hey, Mike, no official word from Penn State's sideline as to what's going on with Tony Hunt, but from what I could see, they actually took the shoe off of his left foot. They took the cleat off. They retaped his ankle, but as you can see, he's sitting on the bench right now, completely away from the team. Looks to be visibly upset. He's spoken to the head trainers a couple of times, trying to warm up a bit. but he won't be out there right now, guys.
Thank you, Aaron. I was going to say he has no helmet, always a sign a guy's not going in, but he just picked it up. From the 4, it is back to Scott, and Austin Scott emerging here tonight. Ball came out. Was it after he was down? The line judge comes in. Let's see his call. Say he was down. Brown caused it. First down, gain of a dozen.
Mike, I'm really impressed right now with this Penn State offensive line taking the football game over, and Galen Hall running right through the teeth, the speed of the Florida State defense. It's much tougher to bounce the ball to the outside against the speed of Florida State. You have to have success going right up the middle, and when you have an offensive line that's as experienced as Penn State, you start to take command of the play calling, and that's what Penn State's doing.
Season high just in the last 9 plays. 6 of them runs by Scott. Freeing Robinson for the deep ball for Norwood. Overthrown. Intercepted by Tony Carter. Setting up blocks. Brought down in the open field by Dion Butler at the 47. Knowles needed to make a play, and they intercept the senior quarterback.
We just talked about the Florida State defense needing to make a play with the ball pushed so far back into Penn State territory. They gave up a big run, and then on 1st and 10, Michael Robinson takes a shot. Comes off a play action, and this is just a throw. You know you're going to try to make it. You try to out-throw the defender. Unfortunately, the defender, Tony Carter, has tremendous speed. He's able to stay with Norwood, position himself perfectly, and come up with a big turnover for the Noles.
Position decimated by injury. Finally, a cornerback gets a pick for Florida State this year. First time all year. Weatherford, will he take a shot down the field? Here he goes, loading up deep downfield. It is pushing off and incomplete. Reed and Phillips with contact. Could very well be offensive. Let's see.
Sure looked like offensive. Anwar Phillips looks like he's just trying to run for the football, and it looked like Willie Reed pushed him.
A couple have been declined, but the flags are mounting on Florida State in the first quarter.
Anwar Phillips, what I love here is he's confident enough in his abilities to look back at the quarterback and run with his receiver that he's covering in Willie Reed. And by reading the quarterback, I think he probably felt, hey, big turnover, chances are they're going to take a shot deep. And that time he was there to make the play.
And he did a nice job of acting out.
Oh, yeah, that's Paul Parton.
Max the contact.
Sure. Mike, look at this. Here's Florida State again. Way back, 1st and 25. Makes it a lot easier for one of the best attacking defenses in the country to stop a one-dimensional attack when it's 1st and 25.
Four wides, 1 back. And a flag down as it's deflected and incomplete. Scott Paxson, first team all Big Ten, tipped it away. He's got 2 second-team Big Ten and first-team Big Teners up front.
On the defense, number 91, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And that's one of the first 10 Big Ten team guys, I should say. Tamba Hali out of New Jersey by way of Africa.
He will be all over the field making plays for this Penn State defense, especially when you have an offense that's lining up in the shotgun and throwing the ball 70 to 80% of the time. He's pinning his ears back, and he's going to be in that backfield all day long, affecting Drew Weatherford.
There's his dad, Henry.
That's great.
All fired up. 1st and 20. Swing out Washington. Into the waiting arms of Jay Alford, the defensive lineman. It gets to the 46. Gain of 4. We'll have 2nd down coming up.
It's going to go in the books as a pass for Weatherford, but this is the version of a running game. It's basically a toss sweep. Weatherford gets credit for passing yards, but this is what Florida State, this is what it's come to with the injuries. And people say, boy, what's wrong with Jeff Bowden calling the plays? What's wrong with Bobby Bowden? What's wrong with this offense? Well, they have 6, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 linemen who could actually play tonight and do a decent job. They've had injuries all over the offensive line, and it's affected the rhythm and continuity of this offense.
And a freshman quarterback. Weatherford throws over the head of Reed and incomplete. Chris Harrell was back there as the safety at the back of the defense. Inside of 2 minutes, the lone score coming on the second drive. Austin Scott of Penn State with some sort of an ankle injury to Tony Hunt. Scott steps in, little used during the year, 5 carries on the drive, 57 yards, and that 2-yard touchdown to cap off an 8-play, 85-yard drive. Joe Paterno gets popped by one of his extra point protection unit on the way out. That's our only score of the game.
Mike, don't be surprised if they don't try to get the football to Greg Carr here on 3rd and long.
That's 3rd and 16. He looked Carr's way, comes into traffic. What a hit onto Cody Fagg, who had to go up for the pass. It was incomplete. Paul Posluszny with a shot as the receiver exposed himself to go get the ball up high.
You better have a lot of courage if you're going to come across the middle against the Penn State defense. The safeties like to hit, and Posluszny dreams about opportunities with a ball high over the middle. Give to Cody Fagg a lot of credit for, you can see he went up and he got the alligator arms because he knew Posluszny was closing in.
Paul's done a good job kicking the last few. Penalty marker down. Lowry returning from the 10. We have 3 penalty markers down. I think it might be a couple of separate fouls here.
We're out of the gate.
I think it's us. we bring out the best
everywhere. I thought it might, you know, the new year. We got to move it into 06. I thought we might get this behind us.
3 penalties have been declined. 6 have been walked off here tonight.
I'd rather have them calling it than not.
Yes, I would agree with that. As I said, we may have multiple fouls here, so it'll take a minute to address where the walk-off should be. Enjoyed so much the time around Bobby and Joe this week because you see why at 76 and 79 respectively, they still can lead teams. And it was one of the Penn State assistant coaches, Ron Vanderlinden, on the field right before the game. He told me, you sit in the meetings with Joe rather, and you realize, just like Bobby, they still care so much and they still have it. They still have their finger on the pulse of everything going on. We have, well, 3 fouls there. 2 illegal use of hands, blocking the back on Penn State, 1 on Florida State. As both said, as long as they're healthy, as long as their desire to do it is there, they never want to walk away.
Face mask on Florida State. Legal block in the back. Penn State, 19. Legal block in the back, 18.
Okay.
Penn State. Penalties offset. Replay, 4th down.
All right. So you commit 2 fouls to 1, and it doesn't matter either way. You know, Kirk, one thing these guys have had to fight for a while is everybody's saying they're not going to be there much longer, and negative recruiting against them. Yet they've been able to bring in a lot of freshman talent here and still keep these programs near the top of their conference.
It's great. I mean, the last couple years for Joe Paterno, 2 of the worst years in the history of his tenure.
7 wins.
So many people saying, what's wrong? You've got to go. You've got to go. What I found very interesting is that Michael Robinson and the seniors, let's not forget about the players. They came to play for Joe Paterno, and they came to Penn State to win championships. They have these kind of years. Do you imagine going 4-7 and 3-9, how it affected these seniors and what because they wanted to send Joe Paterno out on a high note, whether it was this year or any year.
Chris Hall kicking again. Lowry running up to get it. And to a knee at the 21. I sat down with both coaches yesterday and broached that retirement subject, among other things. Any chance either one of you after the game says, that's my last game, I'm retiring?
No, but I'm going to propose you retire after this one.
That was nice, Joe, wasn't it?
That was nice.
Hey, do you think he really needs a credential? Either one of these guys? They both have their credentials around their neck.
One thing I've learned about the BCS bowl games, everybody needs a credential.
Not them. They don't need it.
If anybody does not, it would be them.
1st and 10 here. Penn State from the 21, and it goes back to a very good-looking running back here in this first quarter. Austin Scott filling in for the injured Tony Hunt. when we heard all the questions about should they retire, should they walk away, people would ask all the time, when is going to be the right time? I think the fact that, especially when 4 Penn State administrators, including the president and athletic director, came to Joe's house, knocked on the door after last season and said, we need to talk about the future. And he said, essentially said, get away.
Yeah.
I'll know what to do and when to do it. They've maintained the respect. I don't think they wanted to walk away on any sort of a bad season.
No, not at all. And I think Joe Paterno, when you talk to people around him.
Here's Scott running again. Brought down at the 28. We'll have third and about 3 coming up.
The people closest to him say, whether it was this year or 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, the one common thread is his competitive spirit. It hasn't gone away whatsoever. He knew the kind of senior class he had coming back. He knew the freshmen that would come in. I don't know if he knew he'd have this great a year, but he knew he was going to have a competitive team. And when they beat Northwestern on the road, they got a little dose of magic to go along with a very hungry football team, and that's why they're here tonight.
And it's that kid Robinson under center. We'll tell you his story in the second quarter. Difference maker. 3rd and 3. He runs option here. Nick, but keeps going and gets the first down. Out to the 35-yard line. Roger Williams, a backup safety, hit him. But too late. Penn State will move the chains as we come to the end of the first quarter. Paterno's team 112 yards. Florida State just 48. After one of the 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. Penn State 7, Florida State nothing. An ABC Sports presentation of the FedEx Orange Bowl will continue after this message and a word from your ABC station. Well, after that first drive of Florida State's, they picked up a couple of first downs, 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. Lone sustained drive for those Penn State fans to cheer about. 8 plays, 85 yards. Touchdown by Austin Scott. Quarter 2 begins. Nittany Lions take over 1st and 10 after the run by Robinson. He throws. It's incomplete for Justin King, the freshman wide receiver. Michael Ray Garvin back there, one of the freshmen in coverage. When we talk about Robinson, here is a player who has experienced what it's like to be a running back, what it's like to be a wide receiver, leading a balanced Penn State attack thus far here tonight. So he really understands what his teammates go through, can speak their language, the receivers especially. Leadership that has evolved and sustained through a very serious looking injury in a game last year. Hands off here to Scott up the middle to the 48 with open field tackle by Pat Watkins, but a first down and a gain of 13.
Yeah, the guy besides Austin Scott, who's having a great game, is the left guard, Charles Rush. Every time coming around on that power play, coming up and making a big block and getting to the second level. When you have a fast defense that wants to attack the line of scrimmage, you've got to be able to penetrate not only the defensive line, but get to that second level with a lead blocker. And Penn State's been able to do that here these last few drives.
Robinson faked the throw and takes off up the middle. Be right at the first down mark as Ernie Sims made the tackle near the 43-yard line.
This is Michael Robinson. This is how he creates. It's very different from Vince Young. You know, the Penn State coaches went and visited Greg Davis and the Texas offense to try to find out what's a way to take advantage of an athletic quarterback. He didn't feel his rhythm. He couldn't get the ball off to the outside to Justin King. He aborted, came back, and look, all of a sudden, instead of an incompletion, taking a measure to find out if he got a first down.
Greg Davis is the offensive coordinator for Texas. Vince Young in that offense certainly adds so much because of the width and breadth of that. That was another item where Joe Paterno was open-minded to change. He didn't like sending his staff to other schools, as a lot of coaches do around the country. So not only did he allow Galen Hall and the offensive staff, his son Jay Paterno, an offensive assistant as well, to go to Texas. Also, as you mentioned, to the Atlanta Falcons where Michael Vick is there. How do we take advantage of having this great athlete that we're now going to turn into a quarterback? So through that, there you see Jay seated to the left of Galen Hall. So Robinson goes through the position changes, learning the quarterback position as a leader, adding to the pass game, and overcoming a serious injury in a game last year all to take over the job. Rodney Kinlaw the run. He has the first down, and Aaron Andrews has more on another quarterback that's touched Michael Robinson's life.
That's right, Mike. You mentioned that injury. That injury that Michael Robinson suffered, that was last season at Wisconsin, an absolutely horrific helmet-to-helmet injury. Robinson was taken off in an ambulance after that injury. He said when he recovered, he thought to himself, am I going to play football again, or do I want to play football again? Well, the guy who called him and left 2 messages, Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb, told him, first of all, get better, my regards to you, and second of all, don't let go of your dreams. If you want to play, you can do it. Mike?
And it helped him so much. He throws complete to Dion Butler inside the 30, and right now, Penn State is having its way with this Florida State defense.
Mike, this is great relationship between a senior quarterback and a freshman in Dion Butler. He actually got back, and there's the difference in Michael Robinson as he gets into his rhythm as a thrower. His feet are set, he steps into the throw. The ball is delivered as Dion Butler hits his brakes and comes back to the ball. The ball's already in the air, making it very tough for J.R. Bryant to make a play on it.
Rodney Kinlaw, the third back, is the lone back. Justin King comes back there. He can run some stuff out of there as well. Swing out to him. Beautiful tackle. Pat Watkins. 2-year starter. Third best tackler on the team. Went to high school not too far away from FSU's campus. Lincoln High School, Tallahassee.
If you're Mickey Andrews and you're sensing right now that Penn State's finding some momentum and starting to build some rhythm of their own on offense, you've got to turn to your veterans, whether it's Bunkley up front, whether it's an Ernie Sims, Buster Davis, Pat Watkins, Kyler Hall. These guys got to step up and make a play to stop the bleeding.
Gino Hayes showed pressure as a linebacker. Jordan Norwood just couldn't get there. Incomplete. Before third down, let's dive in for the Aflac trivia question here tonight. Bobby Bowden, his 8th Orange Bowl as a head coach. The Duck had a very tough New Year's Eve, slow to recover. Bobby's coaching his 8th Orange Bowl. Who are the only 2 men to coach in more? Should we give everybody a hint?
Yeah, sure.
Just think the Big 8 was tied to the Orange Bowl forever.
I've got one for sure.
All right.
I think the second one's going to be a trick.
3rd and 14. Field goal from here would be 50 yards. Knowles bring heat. Robinson in trouble. That should be intentional grounding. It is. They'll lose the yardage as well. They're out of field goal range. Ernie Sims, Michael Ray Garvin lead the charge.
You need a veteran, you need a playmaker. Somebody's got to step up on third down, and this time Mickey Andrews brings the blitz, and Tony Hunt not being in there. Austin Scott tries to step up and make a block on Ernie Sims. And, you know, Michael Robinson told me, I was talking about this guy and that guy. He said, Kirk, the best thing about Tony Hunt is not only his running, where he went over 1,000 yards, he said, I always know he's going to be in the right spot in pass protection. And Tony Hunt not being in there that time affected the pass protection for Michael Robinson. Big play by Florida State.
Penn State was marching down at the 29. The play by Watkins in the open field, and Ernie Sims forcing the intentional grounding takes Penn State from a field goal attempt or a drive for a score to a Jeremy Capitos punt. Willie Reed comes over, almost dropped it, but makes the fair catch at the 14. You saw his dad, Tamba Hali. That's his father, Henry, the first-team All-American defensive lineman, takes the field. He's a remarkable story. Survived war-torn Liberia, I should say. We'll talk about it right after this. Florida State takes over at its own 15, trailing 7-0 here at the Orange Bowl. Bobby Bowden's 8th, the only 2 men with more. Did you get it, Herbie?
I got Tom Osborne, throw Barry Switzer in there.
Tom Osborne 11, Barry Switzer 9.
It seemed like throughout the 80s, late 70s and 80s every game.
First run, Washington into the secondary. Give Leon 50. First down to the 30-yard line. Ron Lunsford made a nice block clearing the path. Donnie Johnson back there made the tackle, part of this outstanding Penn State defense. We mentioned Tamba Hali, 11 sacks, led the Big Ten. When he was 10, he left Liberia, said goodbye to his mom, left a Civil War-torn nation, came to America, where his dad had already sought refuge and trying to start a new life. Washington again, 3 yards. Hali over there with Dan Connor. So Hali essentially is gone a decade and a year without seeing his mom. To find space, as we have a penalty flag down here, I believe it's a hold. They're trying to stop Hali and the rest of those guys up front.
On the offense, number 68, 10-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage. Repeat first down.
Jackie Claude flag there. So they leave Liberia. How do they go across with brothers and sisters in tow? Paddling across a river to get to the Ivory Coast, a different country. The immigration papers allow him to be reunited with his dad, Henry, who had settled in New Jersey, an educator, a teacher. Meantime, Tamba's mom, the mom and dad are not married. Mom Rachel is still over in Liberia, where the Civil War got so bad, she was shot in the knee a year ago. Fortunately, things have settled down in Liberia, and Tamba's mom is in a lot safer spot. Weatherford lost the football. Hali is there trying to recover, battling with Lunsford. And Lunsford got it back. Jay Alford cost the fumble. And Hali almost walked away with the recovery.
How did Penn State not recover the football? When you watch this ball bouncing around, you've got a couple different Penn State players close to recovering this. It started with Jay Alford. Hali comes in right there. It appears he's able to recover. Give Florida State's offensive lineman some credit for fighting in there and trying to get the ball away from Hali. Tenacious pass rusher right there. It looks like he has the recovery, but Florida State lineman rips it back.
Just jumped on through his arms. 2nd and 26. Weatherford screens Washington. Tried to give time to get a block out there, but couldn't. David Castillo, the center, didn't give him much blocking room. Gets over the 20-yard line. So, Kirk, this Hali story is just so intriguing because now he's trying to become a U.S. citizen. He has NFL potential. Size will make him a tweener for the next level, but he wants to become a citizen. When he does that, and the paperwork and the red tape is really very close to getting done, taking the U.S. citizenship test, he then can bring his mom over. He talked to his mom before the Wisconsin game. First time they had talked in months, and he goes out and it's the best game of the year for a defensive lineman in the Big Ten. He doesn't talk to her on a very regular basis, but she is a great inspiration to him. 3rd and 19 through the hands of Booker, and right now Florida State's offense is a series of screens that is feeding into Penn State's defense.
Well, when you cannot run the football, you're going to have to throw screens to try to slow down a Penn State defense that's attacking and pinning their ears back. Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator from Penn State, up to this point has done a terrific job of scouting and preparing for this Florida State offense. He realizes they cannot run the football, so they're going to try to put pressure and at the same time be prepared and be disciplined against the draws and the screens and the quick throws from Florida State.
Anthony Cerrato now back deep to receive the punt from Chris Hall. Caught it at the 45 and a fair catch, so good field position for the Nittany Lions. Lowry comes up to grab it instead of Cerrato. I beg your pardon. But Tamba Hali and his dad enjoying this night as Hali gets set to make his move to the next level of football. And lots of enjoyable moments for the Hali family, and maybe even more ahead. Birthday for the Goodyear Blimps. Tonight, the spirit of Goodyear floating above, providing our aerial view, reminding you to get superior traction in any weather with Goodyear's new Forterra triple tread tires. 5.5 gone, 2nd quarter. With Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, Mike Tirico. 2nd to last game of the college football season. USC Texas 1-2. BCS championship game in the Rose Bowl presented by Citi tomorrow night here on ABC. Penn State leading 7-0. And Austin Scott will lose about 2 yards. Scott is in there if you're just joining us. For Tony Hunt, the 1,000-yard back for Penn State, has his ankle retaped. We haven't seen him since the opening drive.
Another guy we have not talked about, Mike, for a long time is the nose guard from Florida State, Broderick Bunkley. First-team All-American, the lone returning defensive lineman coming into this year. 9 sacks on the year, 23 tackles for a loss. Has not been able to penetrate that strong Penn State offensive line.
Second and a dozen. Robinson's throw is out of bounds and incomplete. The receiver, Justin King, slipped as he was trying to make his break. We'll have third down coming up.
An adjustment that Mickey Andrews has made here in these two plays in this drive, bringing the linebackers, bringing more pressure, trying to maybe get some one-on-one matchups to try to free his All-American nose guard, Bunkley. E.C. Smith is undersized at 6'1", 280, a senior, number 77, but holding his own in the middle against that Florida State offensive line, or defensive line.
Bunkley comes out for third down. Llewellyn is in, pass rushing. Robinson has to get out of there, swarmed by the Seminole defense. Llewellyn will get credit for the tackle. It's fourth down.
3 plays, 3 blitzes. Mickey Andrews trying to set the tempo right now on defense and trying to do something to get this Florida State momentum back on their side of the football.
Can Willie Reed, their terrific punt returner, make a play to flip the field a little bit? Papanos to kick it. Kick to 40. Reed from the 17 has room. Willie Reed back down to the 35. A return of 18. And Florida State will get it at the 35. A bunch of 3-and-outs here for the Noles offense. They've run 21 plays. They only have 65 yards. Austin Scott is the only touchdown of the 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. January 22nd, the NBA on ABC returns. Carmelo Anthony and the Nuggets against the world champion Spurs and Tim Duncan, or Iverson against Garnett, Sixers Timberwolves. Check your local listings as the NBA returns on the home of the NBA Finals, ABC. Drew Weatherford and the Florida State offense cannot go forward. And they have hurt themselves with large penalties on first down on 3 of their 5 drives. Weatherford pressured by Halil, throws it complete to Chris Davis. First down to the 49-yard line, gain of 14. Wow, a first down, positive yardage. The last 4 drives, Kirk, Florida State had a total of -1 yard.
It's interesting that they had to get under center, Mike. A little bit of a play action to try to get him away from the pressure, and Halil still almost got there. But I think it's about mixing it up, having at least a threat of running the football, and then the quick game. Get back and try to hit a seam against the Penn State secondary with all the great speed you have at receiver.
The toss is complete just for a gain of a couple of yards. In the open field, it is Calvin Lowry able to bring down Davis after back-to-back catches. It's such a simple tenet. I know Noles fans are sitting all over this state with their, again, frustrated feeling. Why can't our offense do it right now? And it really has to basically do with personnel, not play calling.
Well, you're gonna get beat up front against this Penn State defensive front. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're more experienced. So realizing that Jeff Bowden has to deal with that, there's a tendency to become one-dimensional. And they have not turned the football over, but at least now they cross midfield, and they're mixing it up a little bit here on this drive.
2nd and 8, the throw to Fred Rouse. Good-looking, talented freshman receiver who got himself in trouble with a sideline altercation, suspended for a game. He's got great talent. Has to get the mental part of the game going. His 6th catch of the year.
When I say mixing it up, Mike, it's not necessarily just the run. It's just the launch point for the quarterback. He's not just sitting back there like a sitting duck as a quarterback. And that time, he couldn't even step into his throw because the line was pushing back in. A great cut by Rouse, who's got an unbelievable athletic ability. But they're mixing it up. They're under center now. Now they're in the I formation. with Drew Weatherford. It just gives the defense a different look as opposed to putting Weatherford back in the shotgun every snap.
B.J. Dean is the fullback for Leon Washington. Again, play action. Weatherford down the middle, miscommunication. Interception, Alan Zamitis with a nice return as well to the 33-yard line. That looks like a terrible throw by a quarterback, but very often it's just complete miscommunication, receiver and QB.
Mike, what that is a freshman quarterback throwing to a freshman receiver being covered by a fifth-year senior. Alan Zamitis does a nice job just sitting back and almost baiting the quarterback, Drew Weatherford, to throw the football. And I think you're right, Mike. Carr was expecting the ball to be thrown to the outside. He's confused right there. And the quarterback released it before Carr could react, and Penn State gets a big turnover.
You're watching the FedEx Orange Bowl on ABC Sports.
6.5 left here in the first half. Penn State on top 7-0. 72nd play of the FedEx Orange Bowl. FedEx has been the title sponsor of this bowl since 1990. Longest relationship with a bowl currently. First down run. Here comes Scott. To the 44. First down, gain of 11. They need to run after Florida State has them solved on the Dodge defensive playbook from the last series, Kirk.
Well, Mike, you remember the last series, one of the things that Mickey Andrews did, one of his adjustments that he made, all 3 downs, he brought pressure. Here are his 3 linebackers. This is a second down play, second long. They decide to bring them. And by bringing pressure, you're putting your corners a little bit on an island. In this case, they're able to get enough pressure there to have an errant throw by the quarterback, Michael Robinson.
After one run, right back to Scott, met in the hole quickly. Sam McGrew comes in to play middle linebacker and makes the hit. McGrew wasn't supposed to start. Buster Davis is usually the starter. McGrew moved up. Davis moved over to the weak side linebacker after earlier this week, A.J. Nicholson, a second-team All-ACC linebacker, top tackler in this Florida State team, was sent home for violating team rules. The police over in Hollywood, Florida, had to investigate a sexual assault charge by a 19-year-old woman who called police the first night the team arrived down here. Nicholson, who had pleaded no contest to a couple of different charges earlier in the year, was sent home by Bobby Bowden. 2nd and 9, throw dropped by Dion Butler. And a penalty marker comes in late after the play was over on the far side involving Levi Brown.
Levi Brown took a cheap shot on a Florida State player.
Dead ball. Personal foul. On the offense. Number 67. 15 yards from the previous line of scrimmage. 3rd down.
It's one of the ways that Joe Paterno gets heavily involved with the offense is when you make a miscue like this. Just a mental error and making a decision to push a defender late like that.
Went after Nephi Moffitt, one of the backup defensive ends. Told you about Nicholson, the top tackler for this team, being out. Just to finish the story, Nicholson has fully assisted the Hollywood, Florida Police Department in the investigation. No charges have been filed to this point, but the disciplinary action nonetheless from Bobby Bowden coming earlier this week. Dead ball foul, so it's just the yardage. 3rd and long, 3rd and 24. Robinson's throw is caught by Justin King. Nowhere near first down yardage, just to gain a 6. And Kirk, great adjustment by Mickey Andrews and his defense here. They aided by a penalty on Penn State, but they've done a nice job tightening up after that 8-play, 85-yard touchdown drive.
When it looked like Penn State's offensive line and the running of Austin Scott were starting to take this game over, Mickey Andrews comes back and says, hey, we're going to put our ears back and we're going to put the same kind of pressure on the Penn State offense. In these last couple drives, it's worked and given Florida State much better field position.
Hope you like punting. It's the 7th one of the half. 4th for Capanos. Willie Reed had a nice return going last time. This, a nice kick from the 13. Nice job by Reed to cut up the middle, break free. Willie Reed with speed. The punter chasing. He is gone. Touchdown, FSU. 87 yards. Changed the game in the ACC title game against Virginia Tech. It was a tight struggle, and he took it back all the way against the Hokies for 83 yards. He had a touchdown punt return against Maryland earlier this year that was huge in that game, and he goes the distance here.
Mike, it looks like right there he's going to the outside. He comes back to the middle. What a move by Willie Reed. And now it's one-on-one with the punter. Tremendous speed by Willie Reed to take it into the end zone.
Ties a Florida State record. 3 punt returns for touchdown in the same season. All square at 7. A great Penn State punt coverage team all season. They had only given up 114 yards of punt returns all year until that one there. Coming up, we kick off our second half with the AT&T Music Highlights, featuring Aerosmith. It's coming up at halftime. Willie Reed's punt return, Kirk, is the longest in the history of the Orange Bowl.
Mike, you touched on it. I agree. You and I were thinking the same thing, and I'm sure a lot of Florida State fans were thinking the same thing. Eerily similar to the ACC championship game when it was a 3-3 game going back and forth. The Florida State offense struggling. The big return by Willie Reed ignited their offense and the momentum of that game.
Penn State respond with a return. Rodney Kinlaw doesn't even get back to the 15-yard line. You can see Florida State's playing with some attitude now.
This is some good blocking, Mike, but let's give Willie Reed a lot of credit. He has been close tonight and making some big plays. He's able to get up the field, but the big cut's coming up. He looks like he's going to bounce it to the outside, and then makes a decision right there because he saw the seam. That's backyard football. That's instinct, something you cannot teach. And Willie Reed, very comfortable right there. Great decision to cut back, and then his speed to beat the punter all the way to the end zone.
Herbert, you know who else was good there? Pat Watkins, because it was behind him. He was just in the spot where you were about to take the push in the back.
We've seen that all night. Good decision.
We've seen that all year. And he laid off. Penn State with Austin Scott on the ground, going nowhere. Sam McGrew leads the charge.
It's funny how you watch a big return and you think, okay, that's great for the special teams, but momentum in college football, I think of any sport you'll ever watch, it goes back and forth, and you need to capitalize when you have it on your side. And that's why right now this Florida State defense, big set of downs right now with the game 7-7, closing in on halftime. Can they stop Michael Robinson and Penn State?
Second and 9, the senior quarterback, nothing open downfield, directing traffic. Norwood couldn't hang on. Jordan, the freshman, his dad, Brian, coaches the safeties here at Penn State.
One of the things that Michael Robinson was able to do this year in the Big Ten is when things would break down, his speed to the edge, he'd be able to get out there and outrun a lot of the linebackers. How many times did you see number 12 pull away, try to find the receiver downfield, but the speed of the Florida State defense that time put enough pressure on it to not only take away the run, but took him out of his rhythm and trying to throw the football.
Third down. 4 receivers to throw to. Incomplete. Intended for Justin King. And now the Penn State offense cannot go forward without their top running back, Tony Hunt, out with an apparent ankle injury. The balance of the half. Florida State's defense rising up.
Let's not forget, as you just touched on it, not only the punt return, but the two previous series, what Mickey Andrews did in his adjustment, putting more pressure, using the speed, and trying to attack the Penn State offensive line and Michael Robinson. That's the third series in a row that speed and that pressure has gotten the best of the Nittany Lions.
Last 3 Penn State possessions, 10 plays, 3 yards. Reed took the last one back. Good rush there. 4 kick. Hop came to him, so he had to take it. And when he goes down at the 43. Let's send it out to Pasadena. Look ahead to halftime with John Saunders, Aaron Taylor, and Craig James. Gentlemen.
Mike, thanks a lot. Coming up on the Pontiac Performance halftime, we're going to have the head coaches of the national championship game tomorrow, Pete Carroll and Mac Brown.
And Coach Carroll's had his ball club on this big stage before. We'll find out from Mac Brown what he's telling his players, how they should expect things.
I think, guys, we'll have a little bit of chat about what to do in a defensive ball game. What are going to be the halftime adjustments?
And a team that's going for a piece of history. It's all coming up on the Pontiac Performance halftime. Mike, back to you.
Thank you, John. Great scene there at the Rose Bowl. We'll talk to the guys in a little bit. First down, Lorenzo Booker. Shot out of McKinnon. Lorenzo Booker inside the 10, inside the 5. Touchdown! If you didn't see the ACC championship game, this is exactly what happened after the punt return. The missed extra point by Sismasia will keep it 13-7. Extra point no good, 13-7. Sismasia misses an extra point for the first time and snaps a streak of 121 in a row by Florida State. 57-yard touchdown pass.
Momentum here for Florida State. The screens have not been working. This isn't necessarily a screen, just a little flare pass to the outside. Watch to the right of your screen, number 81, right there. The Cody Fagg makes a big block on Dan Connor, and at that point, once Connor gets slowed down just enough, you can see the speed of Florida State with the skill position players. You make one guy miss. If one guy's late, Lorenzo Booker has the speed to take it all the way to the end zone. Boy, this game has turned around in a hurry. Off the punt return, the adjustments from Florida State's defense, it even affects the offense from Florida State.
And Lorenzo Booker, Kirk, was one of those guys who was sick about what was going on. He has been handed the torch, the legacy of Florida State greatness. 14 years in a row with top 5 finishes, 10 wins a season. Warwick Dunn, the great Florida State running back, has been in contact with Booker, telling him about what the players need to do to pull together and get through the stretch where they lost 3 games in a row. Before unheard of in Florida State history. Recent history. Touchback to take over at the 20. There you see how the things have flipped. 100 yards for Florida State here in this quarter, including the big touchdown by Booker.
Watch this block by Fagg, Mike. Nice block. Cody does his job. And look at that. Just enough to slow down Dan Connor. Here's Poslusny. Just a step away from the great speed there by Lorenzo Booker. He's hustling. He's giving it everything he has. But he is a step short from Lorenzo Booker. But it started with the block from Cody Fagg on Dan Connor.
1st and 10, Penn State from the 20. FSU by 6. Can Robinson respond to Jordan Norwood? He makes a man miss to the 41-yard line. Gain of 21. What a response to the Lorenzo Booker touchdown. Aaron has more on the man who just scored.
Well, Mike, you know, we sat down with Lorenzo Booker this week, and he told us a great story. Before that ACC championship game, he got a call from his pal Warwick Dunn, and Warwick said, hey, I'm sitting here right now with Michael Vick, D'Angelo Hall. They're giving me a lot of grief about the Hokies winning. You better win this one for us, man. Also, another great comment on Lorenzo Booker. He's done a terrific job with quarterback Drew Weatherford, gotten him out of the house after after awful losses like Clemson and helped him clear his mind. Mike?
What a difference maker he's been on this team. A leader as a junior. Robinson throws to Smoko, his tight end. Open field tackle, the corner, Tony Carter.
EA just touched on something that I think is important to talk about briefly about Florida State. This is a tight-knit Florida State team. I would say the last 2 or 3 years, you've had fragments. You've had a Florida State team that has been fragmented by a lack of leadership. I think Drew Weatherford coming in, you see a team now that is closer and a team that went through a lot of hardship and fought through that adversity.
They didn't have the same kind of leaders on both sides of the ball.
No, they did not, and they do this year.
2nd and 9 from the 42. They'll run it with Austin Scott. To the 48-yard line. Minute and a half remaining here in this first half. You see how Penn State got off to that great 8-play, 85-yard drive. That was their 2nd drive of the game. And now as you look at the 5 after, the pick, and then the punt problems here. The 10-play, 3-yard, 3 series of drives. And then the punt return for touchdown.
Penn State, number 30, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
That's on Brandon Snow, the fullback, and he wants to know what's going on here. They had 12 when the huddle broke initially. You're not allowed to do that. And when Joe wants an answer and he can't get the answer, get me an answer. Mike McQueary, his wide receiver coach, former quarterback. When you're the guy who has to signal in the plays and things aren't going well, that's a tough job.
He's coming after you.
Third and 7. Robinson overthrows his intended receiver and incomplete. Trying to sneak it out to Brendan Peretta, who has not caught a ball this year. And on 4th down, Penn State will kick it away. Trying to get the tempo of that offense picked up there in the last 2 minutes.
I'm going to continue to go back to Tony Hunt not being in there. Austin Scott, you've done a great job running the football, but it's just a comfort zone for a quarterback in Michael Robinson by having his man, Tony Hunt, back there. He knows not only running the football, but being there to help out against a blitz package from Florida State. Him not being in there is affecting this Penn State offense.
Florida State bringing extra people. They almost got to the punt. Roosevelt Lawson almost got there. Kapanos' punt will be down inside the 5 and should short-circuit any FSU hopes. What a nice look by Florida State. Diving Lawson off the edge, and they almost came up with the block punt. That close. You surprised how Florida State's been able to hang in there defensively and give themselves the chance for the big play.
That's what really had to happen tonight for Florida State. Things went against them early offensively. They couldn't find anything as far as the rhythm was concerned, but give the credit to Mickey Andrews. Turned the complexion around. The defense made the plays. The special teams came up, and look how it affected the offense. The very first play they come back after the punt return, a touchdown by Lorenzo Booker, turned this game completely around.
Same thing that happened in that ACC championship game.
Exactly.
Penn State has punted 5 times this quarter. Full complement of timeouts. Look out, a safety! A safety is drawn here. Let's see the mark. No, they're marking him at the half-yard line. Oh, boy. The fullback had forward progress outside the goal line. Penn State taking timeout now. They had the 3 timeouts, and they're trying to force a punt. All you have to do is get your forward progress outside of the goal line, and there's no safety call. And I think this is called correct.
Weatherford's lucky he even got the handoff there. You know what? I mean, you have a defense here that's trying to come up with some points, and Scott Paxson, I think maybe the most underrated player from the Big Ten this year, penetrated the Florida State defensive line, got in there to make a play. Very close call, but it looked like Coleman, the nose of the football, may have got to the other side of the line.
Absolute correct call. Forward progress, just like a run play. It's frustrating to watch as a fan, but it is forward progress. The ball has come out of the end zone, across the plane, same way you go the other way when you're going in for a touchdown. That is the replay booth. We have instant replay, as you know, available for all bowl games this year. They do review almost every play. They don't stop the game every time for a replay review. Joe Paterno's timeout was taken more to just stop the clock at that point.
It's under review.
And now it is being reviewed. The buzzer system down to the officials to take another look at it.
Mike, it's a great call. We'll get probably a different angle here, and you can see where Coleman looks like he got out of the end zone, just got across the goal line. But I can't get over. We need to talk quickly about Scott Paxson.
Yes.
First team, all conference, excuse me, coming out of the Big Ten. And because Puzlesny gets so much credit, Dan Connor, the secondary, sometimes, and Tamahali, sometimes you overlook the guys who are inside. He's across the line. It's a good call. It'll stand. Scott Paxson, Mike, I just can't say enough about a guy. He keeps the offensive line off of those linebackers. Is a great player, and that time almost came up with a big safety.
One thing that might happen out of this, Kirk, is a respot of the ball.
There's indisputable video evidence that the call on the field is correct. The ball is down on the half-yard line. Second down.
Right? It's the right call. You know, what's funny is Jackie clawed that time because you had a defensive lineman, and Scott Paxson gets the best of him. He almost held him in the end zone.
Joe was telling the official what he should have called. He told him to get back, and I believe if I read Joe's lips right, be quiet. He asked him to be quiet in a not very nice way.
Please.
Keeper up the middle for a couple of yards. Penn State again will take a timeout. And what's interesting here, you don't see any of the Penn State players calling timeout. It's Paterno on the sideline calling the timeout with the official nearby. And we bring that up because that's what the difference is in Penn State being an undefeated team this year or not. The ability of the coach to call timeout right there on the sideline remains a good rule in college football. It's the second year we've had it, and by Paterno doing that there, it saves a few seconds to the players calling it. But they didn't like the rule when it happened to them at Michigan. Boyd Carr did it. They got 2 seconds back on the clock in their game in mid-October, set up Michigan for the game-winning touchdown. The only reason that Penn State has one loss on the year.
Yeah, and it's a team that you think about everything that they've had to overcome. But Joe Paterno is such a competitive guy. He's going to go down to the final second here. He's going to try to come up with a play and try to see if they can get some points here. The momentum is switched back in favor of Florida State. He's looking for a big play.
You're going to force him to punt here in all likelihood, for sure. It's been a first half where Penn State has not been able to move the ball offensively. They were forced to punt the ball 5 different times here in the first half. There's the correct timeout story. 1 left, so if they can stop Florida State on 3rd down, it forces the punt. It gives Penn State a chance for a return, a punt block, or perhaps a big play. 3rd and 10, Weatherford just into the middle. It's out to the 5, and Penn State stops it with 22 seconds. The one thing about getting out to the 5, Florida State will have room for the full punt snap when they kick it away. Well, we've arrived at 13-7. Florida State on top. Penn State scoring 7 in the first. Florida State responding with 13 in the second. One of the big plays so far. This long Robinson throw was intercepted by Florida State's Tony Carter. And after another good job by the defense of Florida State, their record-setting punt returner, Willie Reed, takes it the distance, 87 yards. And then after holding Penn State 3 and out, the little swing to Lorenzo Booker for 57 yards. 13 points in 80 seconds. The only bad part of that stretch for FSU was Gary Sismasia missing an extra point, which hadn't happened in 121 consecutive PATs for FSU. Penn State brings 10 to the line. Able to get the punt away. A good field position as it's a fair caught by Lowry at the 40. So without a timeout, 17 seconds left. Penn State will try to work it down to get a field goal. Kelly's longest this year is 47, meaning a first down picked up could give them a chance at 3.
This is where, with a young group of receivers, it's nice to have a 5th-year senior quarterback. Even though he's making his last year as a starting quarterback, his first. still, he's been there. Don't forget, this is a team that faced Northwestern on the road early in the year and had to come up with some points before the half, had to come up with some points at the end of the game, and Michael Robinson was there to make the big plays.
It's a stretch to call this a 2-minute drive, but on 2-minute drives this year, they scored 6 out of 7 times. The only miss was a missed field goal. Robinson hit as he threw, but it is caught by Norwood, who gets out of bounds at the 25. So from here, a field goal is 42 yards. You have 12 seconds left and a chance to get even closer.
Little bit of a gamble on that play by Florida State, trying to come up with an interception, and it cost them. Penn State comes up with a big conversion.
Quick out or a one shot to the end zone. Robinson goes end zone for Kilmer. Did he catch it? Yes! Touchdown, Penn State! And what a job using your timeouts to keep it alive and tie the game. Told you they were good in the 2-minute drill.
Yep. Mike, one of the casualties when you bring pressure and play man and one-on-one matchups is it's your man against the receiver. And you've got to be able to go up and make the play and bat the ball away. And that time, Tony Carter didn't even see the ball.
Play under review. They're checking it upstairs to make sure Kilmer came down with it. Everything looked good with the live eye.
Ball is up in the air. Number 15 doesn't see the ball until it's too late. What a great adjustment. Great body control there by Kilmer. But Mike, is a corner when you're out there on an island, that's one of the things. Is what a great effort. Florida State's defense over the years, you've always seen that they always have had great corner play with speed in, speed rush.
After review, there's indisputable video evidence that the call on the field is correct. Touchdown.
It's been a good couple of days for the Big East. West Virginia winning the Nokia Sugar Bowl last night over Georgia, and this officiating crew. They've used replay the right way, very quickly, very effectively, and have done a terrific job administrating this game thus far tonight. How about Kilmer? He was a defensive player and a special teamer last year. And he's come on for 3 touchdowns, including a big one there. Kevin Kelly knocks through his extra point, and Penn State takes a 14-13 lead.
I'm just really impressed with Kilmer's effort and the way he was able to adjust in the air. He knew all along. He was seeing the football, knew that he had to hang up in the air and try to adjust and get back to the football. And because Carter didn't locate the ball until the last second, nice job there, using his body, getting in position, and making a big play. It's not only a touchdown to give Penn State the lead. What a different attitude now you go into the locker room with at halftime compared to giving up 13 unanswered points.
You're a quarterback, that's got to be a good feel when you get knocked down, but from your belly you can look up and see 6.
Well, Michael threw the football in the air, and even though he got knocked down, I think he felt pretty good about the chances of Kilmer making that play.
And we talked about all the young receivers who Robinson kind of took under his wing this year and in the preseason, welcoming them, teaching them the offense, an offense that he ran at receiver. But 2 guys who were on campus already, who've become very big wide receiver stories. Deion Butler, guy who was over on defense, brought him over, a walk-on who caught 36 balls, a freshman record, and Kilmer, who just scored that touchdown. Another player, didn't play high school football, defender, special teamer. They made 2 big plays here tonight. Kenny O'Neill's return at the back end of the half. He's got room, but a Nittany Lions over there to send them to the sideline, out of bounds at the 40. Big blocking, but no flag as we come to the end of a very entertaining first 30 minutes here at the FedEx Orange Bowl. Aaron Andrews with Bobby Bowden.
All right, Coach. Penn State takes the momentum back their way. What does that do to your mental state of your team heading back into the locker room?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm very happy to go in only 1 point down. You know, I was afraid they'd get away from us. And so we're one point down, which don't mean a darn thing at this time. We just got to go out and play with got to play again with no arrows, you know.
And that's what you told him before. Thanks, Coach. Mike, back up to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Penn State will get the ball first to start the third quarter. Penn State had more yardage in the first half. Florida State had the big punt return. They are as feisty as ever. There Joe Paterno is at halftime, yelling at the officials, yelling at the guys, hey, let our guys go in the locker room. At the half, Penn State by 1. John Saunders, Craig James, Aaron Taylor. Some highlights there in the first half, especially at the back end. In high definition on ABC HD, we had the last 3 touchdowns scored in a 4-minute, 3-second span, and we had them really scored on a punt return, a 1-play drive, and a 2-play drive. So Kirk at 14-13 as we get set for the third quarter. Penn State on top by virtue of that missed Florida State extra point. Take me into both locker rooms, and what would you start doing first from the Penn State side if you're Joe Paterno getting that momentum touchdown the end of the half?
I think you have to regroup offensively a little bit. I mean, this is a Penn State offense that's been able to really set the tone throughout the entire year because they have tremendous balance. Now, if you look at the balance in the first half, 113 rushing, 113 passing, that's great balance. Right. But I think Florida State dictated the tempo there with their own defense making adjustments and bringing the pressure. And it wasn't until that great field position on their very last possession where they got the touchdown to Kilmer where they were able to kind of handle that Florida State pressure. And so it's going to be interesting. Florida State's going to continue to attack on defense. How will Michael Robinson, without his main man Tony Hunt, respond against that pressure?
Hunt injured his leg on the first drive. His ankle x-ray was negative, so there's no major damage. However, as he ambled onto the field after halftime, he didn't look like a guy who was going to perform in the second half. We'll keep a close eye on Hunt. 1,000-yard rusher for Penn State this year. His backup, Austin Scott, has already run for 100 yards. He only ran for 163 all season.
Something to keep an eye on here for both offenses in the second half. Third down conversions continue to be a problem. Penn State, only 2 of 8. Florida State, 1 of 7. But both are in a lot of third and longs.
Graham Gano's kickoff begins the third quarter. Rodney Kinlaw's return brings him down to about the 20-yard line. Time now for the Home Depot coaching adjustments after the Geno Hayes tackle.
Well, we're going to see it right away. Penn State, if you're Penn State's offense, Mike, you're looking for big play opportunities down the field. If Florida State's going to continue to attack, you've got to try to find one-on-one matchups to try to slow them down to then open up the running lanes. And in Florida State, what worked for them was trying to use their speed and athletic ability on defense, set the tone up front, because Penn State is so strong in the trenches, Florida State has to outnumber them and use their speed by attacking that line of scrimmage.
The junior Hunt on the bench, the junior Austin Scott in the backfield. And almost taken down on the first try by Ernie Sims, but the rest of the Florida State defense gets there. It's Llewellyn, Bunkley up front. Finish off the early work by Ernie.
Mike, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Watch the 3 linebackers from Florida State. As soon as the ball is snapped, watch their steps. They're coming up. They're coming up because they want to disrupt the timing, and a great job in the interior of the Florida State defensive line. But if I'm an offensive coordinator and I see 3 linebackers attacking, that's when you've got to hit the play action right behind them with a tight end or a wide receiver.
Loss of 4, second and 14. Robinson in a whole mess of trouble. Gets rid of it as he was outside of where the tackles were. Intended receiver down there. Third down coming up. Buster Davis joined Bunkley on the pressure there.
That's exactly what they went to, a little bit of a play action. The problem is now the next phase is enough time to throw. If they're going to bring the pressure, 33, you have to have Austin Scott pick somebody up. You have to help the quarterback out. If you can protect and give Michael Robinson time, or if he can escape away from that pressure, you're going to find the one-on-one matchups that Penn State can exploit with their speed.
Pressure again, tried to go underneath, actually took the helmet or the hat off of the umpire, Bruce Palmer, as Dion Butler was there. Sometimes you can use the umpire as a screen, use him for a pick. That time he may have just picked his hat right off by the lid.
Pressure, pressure, pressure from Florida State on 3 straight plays. And again, Penn State, 3 and out, forced to punt.
In the first half, Willie Reed had the longest punt return for touchdown in Orange Bowl history. 87 yards. Jeremy Capanos kicks it again. And a penalty marker. Penn State penalized 6 times in the first half. And Penn State usually, and again this year, one of the least penalized teams.
Prior to snap. All start. On the offense. Number 35. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
We saw Joe Paterno walk off the field just after the half, pretty animated, pretty frustrated. We saw a lot of the emotions from Joe Paterno in that first half. And Mike, I think it has as much to do with the penalties, the sloppy play, getting away from the fundamentals, something that's been a strength the entire year from Penn State. Those are the things that aggravate him as much as anything.
Something that goes with not playing the game since mid-November as well. Big Ten doesn't play after Thanksgiving. Penn State's last game, 3rd Saturday of November. Capanos gets it away. Not a good kick, but good bounce. Wasn't touched by a Florida State foot there. The officials come in and signal it at the 41-yard line after a 48-yard kick. And they have signaled that it is Florida State ball. If it hit the foot of the Florida State player, Penn State would have been able to recover. It was their ball. But in fact, it stays with the Noles at their own 41.
Legal time. 1st down.
Not a great kick, but as long as 26 in red doesn't touch it for Florida State, I'd be happy if I were Joe Paterno.
Joe wanted the call for the touch off the foot of the Florida State player. As you see, he was able to get out of the way. Roosevelt Lawson. Back here in Miami, Miami-Dade County, 2.3 million people, 13% of the population 65 or older. Pretty good setting for this matchup of 76 and 79-year-old legendary coaches in college football. 1st and 10, this drive starts just shy of the 41 for freshman quarterback Drew Weatherford. Incomplete, pass deflected up front as Holly and Alford were coming in on their left defensive side.
You try to think about what adjustments Penn State might try to make. And if I'm Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator, I'm going to say, we're going to do what we do and do it better. Just make sure we're tackling, make sure we're in the right position, the fundamentals, everything that they've been able to do all year, continue to try to put pressure on Drew Weatherford. If I'm Florida State, I liked when Weatherford was under center, moving him back from time to time in the shotgun, but he seemed to find his rhythm more when he was under center.
Out of the gun, they run Leon Washington. Puz Lesney had him by the ankle and brings him down at the 46. Good 4.5-yard run. Paul Puz Lesney, not just a great linebacker at Penn State, but a leader, a captain as a junior. It's been 37 years since someone was a junior captain at Penn State.
Says it all right there about the intangibles of Paul Puz Lesney and what he offers his football team.
6 different All-American teams naming him first-team All-American linebacker. 111 tackles this year. Great student as well. Academic All-American in addition to a football-playing All-American. 3rd down, Weatherford flushed. Hali chases. His throw is incomplete. Tamba Hali, the athleticism and pressure off the edge for the 6'3" defensive end, whose dad Henry watches the defense force a 3-and-out.
I thought Florida State might come into this game and try to jam not only with a tackle, but maybe a tight end or a back. They've held their own against Hali, but that time you get a great illustration of the tenacity. He just does not give up. He has so much desire to get to the quarterback that even when he first doesn't get in there, he's going to keep coming until he applies the pressure.
Chris Hall, very high snap. Nice job to get it down, and Hall just fires it out of there as quick as possible, and it will be downed inside the 5 for Florida State. Well, that's why there are no pictures on scorecards. It was a 51-yard kick down inside the 5, but it was the ugliest looking thing you've ever seen. Sorry about that, Mrs. Hall. 14-13, Florida State missed an extra point after their second touchdown. For 80 years, the Goodyear blimp has been one of America's most recognizable images. Tonight, the Goodyear blimp floating overhead. These great aerial views, and we remind you to be prepared for any weather on Goodyear's new Forterra tires, featuring the triple tread technology. They say the ball was touched by Florida State. The Knowles coaching staff disagreed. Brandon Snow carries for a couple of yards, only out to the 9-yard line, as trying to break up the Sam McGrew get-together with Penn State center E.Z. Smith. The official took the worst of it, and it appears like Snow, the starting fullback, is injured as well. So Penn State, already without their starting running back, Tony Hunt, sees another lower leg injury to their starting running backs.
If you throw Derek Williams, the true freshman who was thought to have a chance to play in this game, talking about a lot of playmakers from the Penn State offense.
That's Matt Hahn, a sophomore out of Long Island, Dix Hills, New York. All Long Island performer. Played at a very good high school out there, Catholic League school on the island, St. Anthony's. But Snow's the guy. Former middle linebacker, broke his foot, moved back over to offense, and has been clearing the way for Tony Hunt's 1,000-yard season. So the starting running backs out for Penn State. 2nd and 9, Rodney Kinlaw, the third-string running back, is stopped by that Florida State front. Cameron Windley, he missed the end of the regular season with an injury. Back with a vengeance here in the bowl game.
The zone read play that you see, you'll see it a lot tomorrow with Texas. Keep an eye right here on the defensive end. That's the read for Michael Robinson. It's almost an option, triple option. He actually should have pulled the ball out when Alex Boston came down on Kinlaw. As a quarterback, you're taught to pull that out and take it around the edge and try to pick some yardage. That time, a poor read by Michael Robinson.
Ton of 3rd and longs tonight. 3rd and 11. Two good defenses here. Robinson's throw is caught, but Justin King is not going to get the first down. Tony Carter and Pat Watkins force the latest 3 and out. Bobby Bowden's always had great punt returners. Just thinks over the years, Deion Sanders, Lawrence Dawsey, so many guys come to mind. Willie Reed set the single-season punt return record last year, breaking Deion's record, and he's closing in on breaking that record again this year. He's already taken a punt back for touchdown tonight. Capanos's kick. Reed has a bunch of room to run, but Penn State covers it well as it comes down at midfield. Nick Yoakum with the tackle. Aaron Andrews, these coaches met in the 1990 Blockbuster Bowl in this stadium.
Yeah, we're talking about Joe Pa fired up right now. You think he's angry now? You should have seen him back in 1990 when they met in the Blockbuster Bowl. Bobby Bowden said Joe Paterno was so angry he thought he was going to slap him. Not because of the game, but because of Renegade, Florida State's mascot, that horse. The reason why Joe Paterno hates when live animals roam the sideline. The story is, back in the days, he went up against Army. They had a mule. And needless to say, Joe Paterno stepped in a few things, so he didn't want that to happen this time. Renegade not here, guys.
Renegade didn't make the trip. That's the first thing Joe wanted to know when he saw Bobby. Matt Henshaw, the tight end, whose dad's a coach in the National Football League, an assistant, George Henshaw, with a gain of 6 on the Drew Weatherford pass, pulled down by Posluszny. Well, we have seen Joe animated,
get out of here,
Renegade or not, here tonight.
Had that scowl pretty much the whole night, but there he is. He's a competitor. He wants to win this game.
Again, Kirk, that's what keeps these guys going. We said it earlier. Their love of winning and touching kids' lives is why at 76 and 79, Bobby and Joe are still going. Good 6-yard gain to the tight end. Fake the pass, give the run to Booker, who scored earlier. Shown the sideline by Dan Connor, sophomore linebacker who was suspended at the start of the season over the summer. He made some prank phone calls to a former assistant coach This former Parade High School All-America returned to the Ohio State game, started the last half of the season.
Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator, feels that Dan Connor could be a younger version of Paul Puzzlesny. This time stays home. Remember the speed of Booker, what he can do. That time Dan Connor stays at home, is there, able to avoid the big block from Dakota Fagg and get there to make the play.
This guy called the huddle as a freshman, so he really has leadership qualities. Sophomore who will continue to emerge. Third down, Weatherford. Flush, looking for room to run. Hali chased him into the arms of the tackles. Jay Alford and Scott Paxson. So the pursuit by Hali, the cleanup by the tackles, and Florida State's 1 of 9 on third down tonight.
Very tough call here for Florida State. Trying to go with an out and up. And when you have a safety sitting back here and Harrell, and you have a corner off to the left in Zamaitis waiting for things, it makes it very, very tough to try to hit a hitch and go down the right sideline when you have both a corner and a safety there. There's no one to throw the football to. That's a coverage sack for Penn State.
Hall trying to pin them inside the 15-yard line again. This one gets a very nice second bounce and will be down at the 13. Very effective 33-yard kick for the senior, Chris Hall. Well, as Bobby and Joe go head-to-head, we'll hear more from our sit-down with these two legends. All they care about right now is knocking the other guy off in this one-point FedEx Orange Bowl. Well, the Bowl Championship Series standings brought to you by Allstate. Notice what's happened to these top 10 BCS teams. Oregon lost in the Holiday Bowl. Notre Dame losing to a very good Ohio State team. West Virginia beat Georgia. What a job Rich Rodriguez does under the radar. Auburn getting knocked off in the Capital One Bowl. What will happen at the top? Number 1 against number 2, the highly anticipated Rose Bowl game presented by Citi. Keith Jackson, Dan Fouts bring you the national championship game. 34 in a row for USC, 19 in a row for Texas. Each has scored 50-plus points per game this year. The table is set. Come sit with us tomorrow night here on ABC. Both starting running backs out for Penn State. Michael Robinson, the senior quarterback, takes over from the 13. Pass drop, perfect throw. Justin King didn't bring it in. Aaron, what about the fullback, Brandon Snow?
Penn State not giving us any information, but he did in fact walk off the field. It looked like he was dealing with that left ankle. A trainer did come over when he was over at the bench. They didn't even take his shoe off, guys. So he's walking out. We don't know if it's for x-rays or whatever, but the trainer was looking at that left ankle. We'll give you more information when we find out, Mike.
Okay, Aaron, thank you. Very first series of the game, that guy, Tony Hunt, went down with a leg injury.
Starting tailback, starting fullback down, puts more pressure on this spread offense, more pressure on the quarterback, Michael Robinson, to dig themselves out of the hole. 6 of the last 7 possessions have been very bad for Penn State.
Robinson had nothing open, tries to take off, eludes 2 tackles, gets to the 20. You see Florida State's Sam McGrew sliding in, trying to avoid the late hit flag that Paterno's asking for, but will not get. We'll have third and about 3.5 coming up.
Such a close game, Mike. He wants the late hit call. Joe Paterno frustrated, but when you have such a close game, Mike, the obvious thing is turnovers, field position, special teams. And with this football here, for the most part in the second half, it's been deep in Penn State territory. And when you have a Willie Reed returning punts for Florida State, you're flirting with fire. It's important for Penn State to try to execute and pick up some first downs to get the ball out of this deep hole.
3rd and 3 from the shotgun Robinson. Looking for room to run, it's not there. Buster Davis comes up, smacks him in the mouth. Robinson, who's rushing, is such a key difference maker in this offense for Penn State. 8 carries, 12 yards on the night.
Mike, Florida State doing a great job of containing the athletic ability of Michael Robinson. McGrew, the middle linebacker, coming to the outside, forces the quarterback to cut back inside, and once he has to go back to the inside, count all the red jerseys. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Very tough for Michael Robinson to deal with the speed of that penetrating Florida State defense.
3 drives, 3 3-and-outs. Kapanos kicks it away. Nice high kick, but that was the one that was returned before. Reed, after the 47-yard punt, breaks free again to the 40-yard line. Florida State winning the field position battle right now, and one or two more big plays will put the Noles on top. Coming up on 11 o'clock here on the East Coast, 8 o'clock out west. Glad you're with us for the 72nd FedEx Orange Bowl. Penn State returning to a BCS game for the first time in nearly a decade against Florida State. Early, an 8-play, 85-yard drive, capped by an Austin Scott touchdown. Florida State's offense was in reverse until this punt return for a touchdown by Willie Reed. After a 3-and-out by their defense, Lorenzo Booker took it the distance to go up 13-7. Penn State responded with a touchdown right before halftime. First down drive begins with a Greg Carr catch. The freshman, who had 9 touchdown grabs on the year, picks up about 7 yards on first down.
We've talked about field position here in the second half. In the 3 possessions that Florida State has had, they started at their own 41, right at midfield, and now at the 40 of Penn State. To the credit of the Nittany Lion defense, they've not given up any points yet. But now Florida State again penetrating, getting deeper and deeper into the Penn State territory.
You saw Brandon Snow, the fullback, limping back on the field. Noles offense with a good opportunity here. Dealing from 2nd and 4. Lorenzo Booker connect it to the edge. Chris Harrell, the free safety, comes up to make a big hit. It was last season in that great defensive season, but only 4-win season for Penn State, that Harrell injured his neck. Very serious injury. Talked with Adam Taliaferro, who you remember back in 2000 was injured severely. People thought that he might not be able to walk again. Made that dramatic return to Beaver Stadium, the crowd cheering as Taliaferro with the halo on walked back in. He's continued to improve his health. Harrell talked with Taliaferro about what was ahead and has come back to play well this year. Well, they get the first down in the 3rd quarter. No, incomplete. The slant for Willie Reed was defended well. And we'll have 4th down coming up.
Considering Florida State has 28 yards tonight rushing, their offensive line is held up pretty well. I really thought they'd struggle up front with pass protection. Number 1, they're beat up front. Number 2, it's a one-dimensional offense. You have a young quarterback sitting back in the pocket. Penn State knows that they're throwing the football, and yet they have not been able to get in there consistently. Yet they have made the plays on the back end to force Penn State into another punt here.
This will be caught on the fly inside the 2 at the 1-yard line by Pat Watkins. Florida State's special teams have been excellent tonight. Penn State, 4th drive of the quarter. All have started inside the 20. This one starts at the 1. Penn State leads by 1. They have it at their own 1. The NFL playoffs start. Wild card Saturday on ABC. The Redskins, they won the last 5 to get in. Joe Gibbs' team in Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. Then Jacksonville heads north to take on Tom Brady, the team that's won 3 of the last 4, the New England Patriots. Wild card Saturday on ABC, home of Super Bowl 40 from Detroit in February. From the 1, Robinson just looks for space to breathe and brings it just shy of the 3-yard line. Do you like 3-and-outs, Kirk?
If you go back and look at the play, Mike, right before the half where Penn State was able to score, if you exclude that, you have 7 of the last 8 drives have accounted for 33 yards for Galen Hall in Penn State. That's why he's rubbing his forehead and frustrated. It's the first time they've encountered this the entire year.
Galen knows what it's like to go up against Mickey Andrew, who's the Florida State defensive coordinator. He did 5 times when he was the coach for the Gators. Getting off the goal line, but only to the 4-yard line is Scott. 100-yard rusher here on the day.
Galen Hall looking down. This might not be the right time to do it, especially now 3rd down. but Penn State eventually is going to have to do something to stretch the Florida State defense. Florida State is attacking the line of scrimmage. They're not respecting the speed of the Penn State receivers because they're either stopping the running game or applying enough pressure on Michael Robinson when he drops back to throw. They've got to get him back to throw and try to go downfield.
That length is why Penn State's 2 of 11 on 3rd down tonight from his own end zone. Robinson throws down the middle. Incomplete. Dion Butler had 4 Knowles there. That's back at the line of scrimmage as the headgear came off on Fluellen. Penn State has missed its last 9 third down conversions.
Well, Pat Watkins disciplined 3rd down as a safety. You know you've got to get back. Penn State just trying to find a seam, splitting the safety in the corner, trying to put the ball perfectly into that seam, and that time Michael Robinson very fortunate that Watkins did not come up with the interception.
7 possessions in the 3rd quarter, 7 3-and-outs. It's frustrating offense. It's also stifling defense. Field keeps moving closer to Penn State's end zone. Kapanos gets a bad kickoff. Reed gets it on the hop at the 41. And Willie Reed brings Florida State close, but the flag comes in and will take them back on the other side of the 40 in all likelihood.
It's their best offensive play. You can't have a penalty on a return. It's their best play.
Legal block in the back during the return. Number 56, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the infraction. First down.
Well, in this meeting of these two coaches, they have the respect and trust of each other. It's apparent when you talk to them.
There are some coaches you would play against that you can't trust. You would not trust. Those like people I'm sure you know in your business. You simply cannot trust them. Well, I trust Joe. I trust Joe. You know, whatever Joe says, it's going to happen. You know, and our values are very much alike. You know, watching him and watching his life, and then we're both big family men, and we both have wives who love those children. God, they spend every darn penny on them, won't you, Joe? They don't spend on no million.
Now it's been on the grandkids.
Root with the catch, the tight end Matt Root picking up a good first down game from Drew Weatherford. You know, Ann Bowden, Bobby's wife for 56 years, and Sue Paterno, I believe, is sitting up in one of the boxes, hidden away a little bit. Sue and Joe Paterno, they've known each other for a long time. Both schools have the same athletic shoe supplier, and they go on a trip together with that company very often. And those guys get to sit, and their wives get to sit and chat and visit. Weatherford throwing the deep ball into coverage, and it is incomplete. Anwar Phillips almost had the interception, as for the second time tonight, he and Willie Reed go at it down that left sideline.
Bobby Bowden, Jeff Bowden that time thinking on 2nd and short. Let's try to challenge Phillips down the sideline to their man Willie Reed. I tell you, it is tough to get behind Anwar Phillips, 5th-year senior, watches a lot of film. He knows the tendencies. That time again in perfect position. Florida State given great field position, Mike, for the 4th time. Have not been able to do anything with it. Let's see what they do here on 3rd.
Bring the receivers block for Washington, who gets the first down. Flag down, though, on the far side. Leon Washington thinks he has a first down, but away from the play, a flag was thrown. Maybe a Seminole offensive lineman caught again.
Holding on the offense, number 63. 10-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage. Replay 3rd down.
That's their captain, David Castillo.
Castillo's wondering what he did wrong. Wily veteran trying to get away with one right there. Takedown of Jay Alford away from the ball. Umpire was right there, made the call. But, Mike, you already have an offense that is struggling to make a play. Outside of the Lorenzo Booker play that got him a touchdown on one play, they have really struggled. And when you inflict pain upon yourself with penalties, you self-destruct, you're just ruining great opportunities with the field position.
You saw that very small yard total for both teams. The teams have combined to run 23 plays in this half. What defense? 3rd and 12. Screen to Booker. Can he get the block on the outside? Pusluzny chases him, brings him down shy of a first down. Field goal attempt from here would be 49 yards. Sismasia, who hit a 49er against Duke earlier this year, missed an extra point in the first half.
The pressure is there. Rice gets in very, very quickly, and okay, Weatherford lucky to get the football off. Linebackers downfield, Pusluzny there, the last man to come up with a saving tackle, but Florida State gonna go for it here.
4th and 2. Toss, Booker. Did not get the block, will not get the first down. Mario Henderson, the left tackle, couldn't make the block. And the flying Nittany Lion defense, Calvin Lowry and Anwar Phillips, force a 4-and-out.
Mike, I know Tamba Hali and Paul Pusluzny get most of the credit on this defense. I love the safeties on this Penn State defense. Chris Harrell, Calvin Lowry always seem to be there to make plays. And this time, it's Lowry coming up, able to avoid any kind of block, and boom, makes the play along with Phillips. And they avoided. Where's the block? You have a leading Henderson there to make a block. You got to at least get in the way of him. But even if he makes that block, Lowry's there coming downhill to make a play. Nice job. 4 straight possessions. Tom Bradley's defense steps up and gets the ball back to Michael Robinson. And now they have a little bit of breathing room to plus 32.
Robinson brings it down the line. Very tight pitch to Justin King. What a hit by Sam McGrew. No first downs, either team, in this third quarter. Don't forget to tune into the Rose Bowl game tomorrow night. Find out the Pontiac game-changing performance of the year. The winning school receives a $100,000 contribution toward their scholarship fund from Pontiac.
You sense that this Florida State defense is almost bullying Penn State. I mean, right now, they don't fear Penn State at all. They're attacking them up front. They're beating up their playmakers. Right now, they're winning it up front at the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 11, pressure on Robinson, who's hit as he throws incomplete for Justin Norwood, but a penalty marker down on Pat Watkins, the safety. And Robinson slow to get up. What a collision that was back there with McGrew. And another flag
pass
thrown.
Interference on the defense. Number 22. Ball be placed with a spotted infraction. Automatic. First down.
Now, as the penalty was being administered by the referee, the field judge on the near side, the Florida State side, threw a flag. It could just be a sideline warning. And that's all it is, a sideline warning. Florida State was too far out on the white paint. There's the flag.
The only thing that I can see there, Mike, in the replay is if Watkins got a hold of him with the left arm. There was very little contact. The only thing that I could see is maybe Watkins got a hold of Norwood's jersey. Couldn't really tell on that replay.
Now Bobby's chance to ask the officials some questions. Hey, there's an intimidation factor with a veteran great coach on the sideline for the officials, no matter how veteran they are. These guys are working them tonight. Double reverse, King hands to Justin Norwood. Robinson out there throwing a block. Brought down at the 42-yard line. The offensive coordinators are having to go deep to find plays that are opening up against these two defensive coordinators. Galen Hall, the offensive coordinator for Penn State, having to find answers for Mickey Andrews' defense here tonight.
Well, at least after the double reverse, you got to come up with something to slow him down. At least now you're in 2nd and short as opposed to being in 2nd and 10.
Robinson's throw is caught by Ethan Kilmer at the touchdown earlier. Out of bounds, just shy of midfield. It's been a good night for Kilmer, 3 catches.
One thing to remember about Penn State's offense is this is a confident group, despite the injuries, despite the fact they've been dominated for the most part of this game, Mike, because you have a veteran quarterback. Anytime might be just a small pass like that. Maybe it's a first down. Something can always spark an offense and all of a sudden you find them going out and executing much faster and with a lot more confidence.
Penn State has to burn a timeout. They've got personnel issues here, play clock running down, and there's a timeout wasted. You saw the value of not wasting a timeout in the first half. Penn State had all three, were able to call them, force a Florida State punt, and in 2 plays go out and score a touchdown that has given them this 1-point lead, 14-13. Well, as mentioned, the 2 teams that score 50 a game, USC and Texas, meet in the national championship. My God, you look pretty good for what you've done here. Kirk was out in Pasadena yesterday for College Game Day on ESPN. Here tonight for the Orange Bowl. I don't feel bad for you.
No, I don't either.
I'm jealous. I wish I was going with you, pal.
I'm loving it. I mean,
give me your feel for the game. What'd you sense when you were out there and talking to the guys?
The sense is that USC is getting a lot of hype locally, and I think Texas is fed up. They had made it very, very obvious in dealing with the media the last couple of days that, hey, people are talking about already USC's won, and we haven't even played a game. I think Texas is going to come out of the gate with a lot of fire, and I'm very interested to see if they can maintain that throughout the entire game, because Oklahoma was saying a lot of the same things last year, and then they got hit in the mouth and the game was over. So would it be different this year, or would it be the same as last year?
Still jealous of you. But the good news is...
You want to come on the flight with me back to LA?
No, I'm going to sit with my son and enjoy the game, listen to Keith and Dan, Todd Harris and Holly Rowe on the sideline. National championship game, Rose Bowl presented by Citi. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 5 in Pasadena on ABC. More pressure. Robinson running for his life. Gets rid of it, incomplete, as he gets a shot on the sideline out of bounds. But no flag. Oh, a flag does come down, but this is downfield, not with that.
Easy Smith, the center, was downfield about 15 yards, 10 yards.
We're seeing all this pressure, a change after that third possession, turned up by Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator. Both defensive coordinators at these schools have been here for a long time, have laid a great foundation for what these teams do.
Flag is being waved off for an ineligible receiver downfield. The ball crossed the line of scrimmage out of bounds. Second down.
There's Mick, who's been 2+ decades as Bobby's defensive coordinator. Alabama Sports Hall of Fame in May. And that guy, if you've ever been around Penn State football a little bit and welcomed in slightly, you call him Scrap. Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator, has that great warmth about him. So many people talk about if Joe Paterno does decide to leave sometime soon, that would be the candidate most likely to replace him. Robinson, the quick passing game. Kilmer catches again. Florida State's done a nice job of tackling tonight. Tony Carter out of Jacksonville. He's 5'9", but he doesn't play little. He said, I've got to be like a basketball player. Forget my size and just make plays. And he's doing it with that physical hitting in this third quarter.
This secondary has been through a lot because of the injury starting in preseason camp with one of the best corners, if not the top corner in the country, and Antonio Cromartie going down with an ACL. They've been picked on at times, but they've grown up. And that time, Tony Carter broke on the ball. He was off about 10 yards, came up, and now familiar territory for Penn State, 3rd and long.
Here's the tight end, Smoko, 81. He's staying in to block the pressure from Kyler Hall, the safety. Robinson gets away and throws it away. Incomplete again. This is just a clinic. Florida State has shut down Penn State's ability to run. They're bringing all sorts of pressure. You wonder if a screen pass might call off the Dogs a little bit here.
Well, they've tried a screen pass. The problem you have is that everything is being covered downfield. They're not having to always bring an all-out blitz. A lot of times it's just an extra safety. Maybe a linebacker off to the left, off to the right, and they still have enough people back in the back end to cover the backs and the receivers that go out for routes. Michael Robinson, I've never seen him, Mike, have this much pressure on him this entire year.
A couple of Florida State players, 2 of them shaken up at the same time. Roger Williams and Lawrence Timmons. That's Williams, number 8, with what you would think would be cramps by the way the training staff is treating them. Again, warm night in Florida, long layoff from playing in a game, which you cannot simulate no matter how hard you train. The long halftime, and very often in bowl games, down here in South Florida, we see this. And apparently, that's what both players are dealing with here. So try to get some fluids back in those guys. Before the quarter ends, let me remind you that Friday, a groundbreaking new series comes to ABC. Every year, thousands of innocent Americans wrongly convicted. Where do you turn when the justice system turns on you? Everyone needs a hero, especially the innocent. The truth will set you free. Injustice is the new series. It premieres this Friday here on ABC. You know, while these players are getting those fluids back, trying to get back up, let's talk about Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator for Florida State, for a second. You know, Kirk, he played for Bear Bryant at Alabama. So he has had the great fortune of playing for Bear Bryant and coaching and becoming a friend and a confidant and a great part of the success of Bobby Bowden.
Remember, the leading tackler from this defense, A.J. Nicholson, who was suspended for the bowl game, is not playing tonight. And this Florida State defense still intimidating and playing with this kind of emotion and this kind of attitude. And it is reminiscent of the ACC title game when they lost 3 in a row, and a lot of people said they don't have a chance against Virginia Tech. They circled the wagons, rallied around that negativity, and they went out and played Knowles defense. And we're seeing that carry over tonight in the Orange Bowl.
Capanos to kick it away. Could be the final play of this third quarter. Good job of protection. Reed will let it hit. Penn State will down it at the 6, so they flip the field a little bit. And Florida State will start with the long field and the bad field position as the fourth quarter begins. The punt was 42. Very good defensive quarter, poor on offense. After 3, Penn State 14, Florida State 13. And ABC Sports presentation of the 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl continues after this message and a word from your ABC station.
You're watching the FedEx Orange Bowl on ABC Sports.
All right, off we go to the fourth quarter of the 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. With Kirk Herbstreit, Aaron Andrews, Mike Tirico in Miami. FSU starts from its own 7, trailing by 1. And no room for a first down run against that stout defensive front led by Tamba Hali, the first team All-American defensive end, as Booker carried there.
Who would have thought the sequence of plays back in the second quarter going back and forth where it looked like Florida State had the possession and missed the extra point, and Penn State right before they have, they get great field position off the punt and then hit a touchdown. They go up by 1, and the way the third quarter went, it almost felt like Florida State might be winning this game, but they're still down a point and now have a long way to go.
2nd and 10, Booker sent airborne as he ran into Hali. Go back to that extra point missed by Gary Sismasia, the sophomore. He hadn't missed one in his Florida State career. As a matter of fact, the Knowles had made 121 in a row. Snap was good and hold was good. He just had it head up and just spun through it quick and missed it to the left.
Florida State has had the ball in excellent field position, Mike, until in this half, until this drive.
Can't make a big mistake down here if you're Drew Weatherford, the freshman quarterback, who's in trouble. That could be grounding in the end zone. If it is, it's a safety. The flag was thrown. I believe the ball may have been tipped as well. So let's see. A flag in the end zone on the offense is a safety. Would put Penn State up 3. The deflection of the ball might wave off intentional grounding. And that's why the officials are discussing it right now. Safety is called. Wow. And Penn State takes a 16-13 lead. The question will be, did Jim Shaw's hand get a piece of it or not?
Well, Mike, Jim Shaw applied the pressure on Weatherford. But again, 41, Scott Paxson deserves a ton of credit for sniffing out the screen.
And Another flag thrown on the sideline. This will be a penalty.
Keep an eye right here. Here's going to get pressure from the outside. But what I love is that the nose guard, Paxton, right away, sees Booker, sniffs it out, and it forces Weatherford. He has nowhere to throw the ball. He had to throw it all the way to the outside for the intentional grounding call.
Ball not deflected, as you see, and then if you go at the wider picture, if you are any receivers down here for Florida State in the general area, and it did not look like there were. So 16-13 is the score, and on top of that, the free kick that Florida State's going to send to Penn State will come from farther back after the unsportsmanlike conduct was called on the sideline. Billy Sexton, the assistant coach, whose son Wyatt was the quarterback at the end of last year, contracted Lyme disease, was involved in a couple of incidents until that was properly diagnosed. He'll be back playing for them next year, competing for the job, but he's in there questioning with Bobby what happened.
The way this second half has gone, you knew both offenses are struggling. Which offense could avoid the costly turnover, and which defense could apply the pressure, or could it be special teams? And that's still the case with 13-36. These two offenses are struggling. Which defense, which team's special teams can make a difference in this game? This time, Penn State does. Pressure on the outside. But what I love, again, is Scott Paxton typically applying the pressure, and that time sniffs it out.
There's nobody there.
No.
The back Booker was in. He could have been going out for a screen, but it was 15 yards away from him if you go across the field. The two receivers were downfield. That was an absolutely correct call.
What happened with Weatherford, Mike, is at the last second, he realized that Paxton was sitting right there, and he looked back to his right to see if he had anybody, and by the time he waited to the last second, he just threw it as far as he could out to the left. There's nobody out there, and that's the right call by the official.
Now, because of the unsportsmanlike conduct call, the free kick comes back at the 10-yard line, and they choose to use the kickoff man, Gano, to kind of bounce it through. Works out okay as it comes all the way back, but Justin King, with speed, has it in his hand, and Penn State gets good field position in addition to the 2 points, and another flag comes in here.
These penalties, these personal fouls, are great examples for Pete Carroll and Mack Brown for tomorrow night. The emotions that'll be there and how they need to be able to control their teams.
Personal foul on Penn State. Dead ball, personal foul on Florida State. Penalties offset. First down.
He pointed the wrong ways. Still offset. It doesn't matter.
We get it. But Mike, tomorrow you're going to have those two teams come out of the tunnels, and they've been building up and waiting for this game. And that's a big part of trying to win a championship and win a bowl game like this, is controlling your emotions and playing with great discipline. It's the one way to get in Joe Paterno's doghouse. Personal fouls, penalties. 7 tonight for Penn State. He might win this game and still be upset because of the penalties.
Michael Robinson without his starting backfield, both injured. Austin Scott has been on 100 yards for the entire quarter and a half here. Yards have been very difficult to come by with these two very good defenses. Penn State limited to 29 yards in the second half. Florida State, 30 yards in the second half.
If Florida State wins this game, either their defense or their special teams going to have to make a play and either score or put them in a position to score.
Second and 11. Robinson goes for the quick pass. Almost intercepted. Smoko kept the ball in the air and nearly handed it to Tony Carter. Robinson's getting a post-pass beating. He's been on the deck the last 7 times he's tried to throw.
I don't think we've seen Michael Robinson tonight have a chance to settle his feet one time, even when he's on the move, just to be able to throw the ball one time without that happening. The entire night, Florida State's linebackers and defensive line have been in his face And such a big part of his game is scrambling and picking up big yards with his feet. He's not been able to do that tonight.
And that's the offensive MVP of the Big Ten. 5 rush, the blitz gets there late. The pass complete to Norwood, first down at the 26. What a job by Jordan to hang on as Buster Davis took the shot at dirtying the uniform of Robinson. Gain of 21.
Finally, we get to see one of the freshmen get a chance to make a play, but first, give credit to Michael Robinson for sitting in there. He knows that Davis is coming in, and he's able to sit in there, wait to the last possible second, and put the ball where it has to be.
Florida State's getting dangerously close to a late hit. They're taking him down every time, about a half second within a flag. Will they go for it all here? Throw is caught. Carter trying to jump the route. They go right back to Jordan Norwood for the catch.
That last hit you saw on Davis didn't necessarily look like a big hit, Mike, but it's just the toll. It's like being in the 14th round or the 15th round, and you continue to get hit. Sometimes the smallest hits hurt you the most. Very, very close there. Tony Carter jumped the route, but Norwood coming back to the ball picks up some valuable yards, and Penn State getting into the red zone. See if they can come up with some points on this drive.
Deion Butler's caught only 1 ball tonight, set a freshman record with 36 catches. Robinson throws high for Kilmer, and it's incomplete. Talk about all the youth on Penn State in terms of the wide receivers. Freshmen were responsible for 61% of the yards this year, 12 of the 17 touchdowns. Justin King, Jordan Norwood, Deion Butler, Lydell Sargent a couple of grabs, and Derek Williams, the star of the freshman class with a broken arm. He's been out since midseason. He caught 22 in the first half of the season for Penn State.
The way Florida State's playing offense, they have to get a stop here.
Third down, option into the boundary. Robinson keeps going and gets right to the first down line. Freshman Gino Hayes was dragged that extra yard by the 5th-year senior. A little bit stronger, a little bit tougher. Might have gotten the first down.
Gives you a great idea of Michael Robinson's speed and then his power. Dragging Hayes about 4 yards after the initial contact. Right there is the contact. Look at the leg drive there and determination to pick up the first down, at least close to a first down.
I think he's got it. You can never say what if, but Gino Hayes is on the field a little bit more because A.J. Nicholson was suspended, sent back home. That's an all-conference performer, top tackler on your team who would have been playing that spot. Got it, first down.
For a guy that's been beaten up all night, it's a heck of a play by Michael Robinson.
Michael Robinson, he's been beaten up emotionally his whole career. Are you a running back? Are you a quarterback? Are you a wide receiver? Bounced around by position, unsettled until the day after last season when Joe Paterno said, you get yourself ready to be the quarterback. He had the leadership qualities. The passing wasn't there as much. The athletic ability was. But Joe said, you're the guy. And he has certainly grown into the role. Hand off to the up back Austin Scott. He gained about 3 to the 13-yard line. And the clock will tumble under 11 minutes left in regulation.
Probably their best running play is when Austin Scott lines up for the fullback, and it's just a quick hitter. And the reason they're doing that is Florida State is getting up the field so fast that it's just a quick little trap, and they're trying to get the speed of Scott right in there. He almost hit that for a big gain, but at least it's positive yards for Penn State.
And how many times did we see them line up in that formation and get it to King or Williams or Norwood, who's back there now? Robinson engulfed, but gets out of it. Lost his helmet, too. Dangerous shot as he comes down to the 12-yard line. Wow. As soon as the ball carrier's helmet comes off, the play is immediately dead at that spot. So although he may have reached the 12, they're going to move the spot back a bit to the 13.
Keep in mind the pounding that he's already take it tonight. I think even the first hit, where it looked like he was going down, was just as big as the second hit.
And Ernie Sims is there in the hit. His helmet comes off as well.
First hit. Right there, he gets hit, then he keeps going. Boom! Oh, man. Boys are hitting out there tonight.
Penalty flag comes down. Florida State is going to get a substitution infraction, I believe. The Noles, I think, broke the huddle with 12.
Legal substitution on the defense. Number 44. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Yeah, but instead of third and about 6, it's third and a yard or so.
Costly penalties at big moments in this game have haunted this Florida State team. Mainly on offense, but at times we've seen it tonight on the defense.
Florida State penalized 10 times for 94 yards, and at least 3 other flags were declined by Penn State.
Let's watch the battle in the trenches here.
Third and a yard. Austin Scott pushing forward and enough of a surge to get the first down at the 5. After missing 10 straight third downs, they've had third and shorter and converted their last 3.
And the last 2 third downs, what we've seen is a determined football team. Great individual effort on the first one by Michael Robinson, where he's able to carry Geno Hayes across for a first down. And then this time, Austin Scott got hit. A safety came up for the second hit. He fought through and picked up another Nittany Lion first down.
Matt Hahn, that sophomore, comes in there. They're all tightly bunched for first and goal. Robinson lost the football. Look at the hitting there. Florida State has recovered. The first sustained drive of the second half turns into a turnover. The exchange between the center, E.Z. Smith, and Robinson is not there, and the Noles escape. Florida State trails by 3. They're still in it. Very little scoring here in this second half. Only a safety, as Drew Weatherford was called for intentional grounding in the end zone. Michael Robinson and Penn State, a touchdown would have put them in such good position. Florida State hasn't moved it at all in this half. But a fumble on the exchange. They get back on the field on offense. Leon Washington goes forward maybe 2 yards. Let's go back to the fumble as a quarterback. Show me what you see here, Kirk. E.Z. Smith getting yelled at.
Well, I saw E.Z. Smith running off the field and kind of looking at his hand and shaking it almost as if it was maybe a wet hand, and looking there. It didn't even look like the ball gets up from the center to Michael Robinson. I thought Michael Robinson had his hand on it there, but Moffitt pulls it away from him. Right there you can see that the ball never got up to Michael Robinson. E.Z. Smith still looking at that right hand thinking, man, wow, crucial turnover.
From the 7, Drew Weatherford, quick screen to Leon Washington, who was in to get an IV because of the cramping. Back on the field, gets a first down at the 17. Also got a good downfield block from his tight end, Donnie Carter. That is the first Noles first down in 23 minutes. And the one thing Florida State cannot afford, an injury to an offensive lineman, they are dealing with here as Ron Lunford is slow to get up.
Said at the beginning of the game, they have 6 healthy offensive linemen that they feel that they can compete with tonight. It's nice to see Leon Washington back on the field because he is such a strong runner. Lorenzo Booker had the big play earlier. He's a fast, has great acceleration, but Leon Washington, nice change of pace with his strength running and breaking tackles.
You can see Lunford, he's battled through his knee injuries during the year. Speaking of the offensive front injuries, Corey Nimlock would have been the starting left tackle. Tore a ligament in his knee against North Carolina State. John Frady and Matt Meinrod as well. 3 guys who would be playing out of there for the season.
2 starters and one of the first replacements to go in. So really 3 starters out of this offensive line the last 3 or 4 games.
That's why they've only run it tonight for 24 yards. To the tight end, Matt Henshaw at the 20-yard line. Gain of a couple. Time now for our Tostitos game summary as we get to the halfway point of the 4th quarter. 3-point game. Penn State with that fumble. It's been Austin Scott over 100 yards. By virtue of the Tony Hunt injury, the 1,000-yard runner was injured on the first drive. Meantime, FSU has been struggling on offense. 48 plays, 190 yards. Willie Reed almost has as many punt return yards as the Noles have on offense tonight. 2nd and 7. Press coverage on the receivers. Weatherford running for any space to throw. Incomplete behind Booker as Hali charges in from the end.
Starting to see the speed of Hali get the best of Overmeyer one-on-one. He's going to win that matchup, especially the conditioning factor getting late into this football game. The most impressive thing that I've seen from Penn State's defense throughout this year, Mike, is the versatility. They don't always have to go to nickel versus 3 and 4 wide receiver sets because of their 3 linebackers. It gives them that ability to defend the run and also the pass. That time, Hali too strong for Overmeyer.
3rd and 7. Weatherford has no pocket, nobody open. They're making this one up, and it's caught by Chris Davis. Brought down by Lowry at the 41-yard line. Gain of 39.
As a young quarterback, Mike, I think he is so aware of Hali that he's even moving and rolling to the right before he has to.
Sideline warning, Penn State. That's her first.
He realizes he has a clock going off in his head, and he knows that eventually Ali's going to get in, but he helps Tamba Hali because Overmeyer's in decent position with the spin move. When he rolls to the right, it allows Hali to actually chase him down, but a nice job by Chris Davis. The scramble drill gets away from Lowry, and Weatherford, with vision downfield, puts the ball where he has to. Nice completion and a big change of field possession here for Florida State.
Weatherford, 3-step quick hit off the hands of Poslusny. The All-America had a ton of room to run ahead of him. And a great opportunity for a touchdown.
Here's the instinct from Paul Poslusny. Looking into the eyes, seeing the 3-step, the quick game. As soon as he recognizes 3-step drop, Mike, his head, he's looking for the quick slant. He's checking to see who's coming to the inside, and by doing that, he got his hands up. All he has to do is make the catch, and he might be in the end zone.
Now you see why he's the best linebacker out of Hopewell High School in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. That produced a pretty darn good running back in Tony Dorsett as well. A great Pennsylvania city where Joe Montana and Mike Ditka grew up as well. Poslusny's bringing pressure now. Weatherford got it complete to Jacody Fagg, who lost his footing, brought down at the 37. Poslusny holding his right knee. Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Lorenzo Booker blocked him as he was coming in on the blitz. And the Butkus Award winner, best linebacker in the country, is down. That's what they teach you to do as a running back when the blitz is coming. You can only hope that it's not a serious injury on the knee of Poslusny. We'll step out for a minute. Be right back. Coming off the field, put no weight on that right leg. He was holding his knee as soon as he went down, and they're looking at him over on the Penn State side. Certainly check him out. Junior, another year of eligibility, was thinking about going to the NFL. Likely first-round pick. Back to the play. 3rd and 7. This pass is caught inbounds. First down, Willie Reed at the 25-yard line. A gain of 13, and Florida State keeps this drive alive, and the Noles have a player who's shaken up on the far side. Chris Davis is hurt.
What a throw here, Mike, by Drew Weatherford. Knows right away. Man under, something that Penn State has not shown a lot of all year. Man under, a safety against Willie Reed. That is a matchup that Drew Weatherford will want every single time.
The heart and soul of this Penn State defense. Their 12th first-team All-American, called by the great Jack Ham, the best linebacker at Penn State, taken off on a cart with that knee injury. Timeout for the FSU injury. Chris Davis was helped off the field for Florida State. While we were away, they looked at the catch made by Willie Reed. And it was a catch, so it's a first down. That's Sean Lee out of Pittsburgh's Upper St. Clair. Freshman, true freshman, who made his debut against Ohio State. He has come in to that linebacker spot where Paul Posluszny was, injured 2 snaps ago. Remember, this Florida State drive started back at their own 5. Working towards 6 minutes left in field goal range, down 3. Leon Washington, the senior, for the edge. Flag down as he's down at the 21. This one likely to come back.
Hold there on Tamba Hali by Overmeyer. It's become an interesting matchup on this drive. Mike, you talked about this drive starting in their own 5. Their first 5 drives in this half have all been 3 and outs. Now they're working on their 8th play.
Number 79, 10-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage. Repeat first down.
Aaron Andrews for an update.
Mike, Penn State obviously is giving us no information on Paul Posluszny, but we do have our very own Dr. Jerry Punch here, who's working as sideline reporter for ESPN Radio. He's also a trauma specialist. I did talk to Dr. Jerry Punch, what he observed. He said normally when it looks like a ligament tear, they'll bring the player over and do some tests. Well, obviously they didn't do that with Paul. They put him right on the cart and took him in. Now, Dr. Punch did say he's wondering about a knee hyperextension, and sometimes when that happens, there's also a leg fracture. So he's assuming they're probably taking him back for x-rays, guys.
And an NFL facility, Aaron, so the x-rays are as good as it gets. Thank you, Doc Punch. From the 34, Weatherford has Washington, the running back. Hali is chasing from the defensive line. Play up from Donnie Johnson, the nickel back, and get some of that yardage back. It's 2nd down. Now start thinking, not many possessions left in this game. We are approaching 5 minutes, 4th quarter.
Every yard at this point counts, Mike. Of course, if they can get a touchdown, Bobby Bowden's going to keep attacking and trying to get that. But just to get into field goal range, to give themselves a chance at tying the game here late in the football game. You cannot continue to have the penalties and the little things that push you back.
Florida State's had 11 flags tonight. 3 others declined. 2nd and 15. Penn State brings an extra body. Weatherford, the freshman, is hit as he threw, and it's incomplete. Matthew Rice. You know, all these guys along the defensive front take home hardware for the Big Ten. Rice's 2nd team in the conference, along with Alford, Scott Paxton, Hali are first teamers in the league.
Great call this time by Tom Bradley. They've been getting a lot of pressure with 4, and that time you saw the 2 defensive ends get in, but they also brought an additional linebacker, one of the few blitzes that we've seen here in the 2nd half because they haven't had to. Nice change up there by Tom Bradley.
Willie Reed, the receiver's coming on the field late. He didn't know the play, was just told it by Dakota Fagg. Reed is in the slot at the top of your screen. From here, a field goal is 46, so just some yards would be smart.
They want the middle of the field, Mike.
They lost 1 with Leon Washington. Now the field goal attempt for Sismasia is 47 yards. So wouldn't it figure that Bobby Bowden, as Craig James was alluding to at halftime, involved in so many close games, missed extra point, and now a field goal opportunity factoring into this one. Here is Sismasia, the sophomore, 5 of 7 from this distance this year. Hooking left, but hooking in to tie the game at 16.
Give Leon Washington an assist, Mike, because he had instructions to get back to the middle of the field. Forget about getting upfield, get to the middle, just enough for the field goal.
As the clock strikes midnight in Miami, You know, these guys are old enough. They can stay up past their bedtime. All tied at 16. Midnight in Miami with Aaron Andrews and Kirk Herbstreit, Mike Tirico, all tied at 16. This matchup of the two winningest coaches in the history of major college football. John Gallardi at St. John's in Minnesota and Eddie Robinson at Grambling for many years. They had more wins in lower divisions. At Division 1A, nobody's won more than Joe Paterno, then Bobby Bowden, passing him 2 years after Joe set the record in October of 2001. Coming into tonight, Bowden has 359, Paterno 353 wins. Together, including tonight, they've coached 946 games. 7 of those games have been ties. We'll have no ties, as you know. Overtime's been in for some half-decade now. We play through to a winner. Perfect kickoff by Gano, unreturnable, and a touchback. Take over at the 20. Kirk, you saw a small thing that made a big difference on the field goal.
It is a small thing, but on the right hash, I think Leon Washington purposely is forcing out, look out all the way to the left, and it cuts back to the right just to get the ball to the middle of the field. He lost a yard, but he got it to the middle of the field, and look how close this field goal comes to missing and hooking it to the left. Great play there by Washington to get to the middle and to set up the game-tying field goal.
Remember that long drive, the only sustained drive of this half for FSU, started with the fumble on the exchange from center E.Z. Smith and quarterback Michael Robinson. From the 20, Robinson. Flushed, stopped on a dime, threw in traffic for Smolko. You never throw back across your body. Did he get rough this time? Flag is down.
Roughing the quarterback. On the defense. Number 95. Threw him to the ground. 15-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage. Automatic. First down.
Cameron Wembley, what did we say last series? They were within a half second of getting a flag every hit. Finally got one. Meantime, Paul Puslusny, the Penn State linebacker, injured with crutches for one of the administrative assistants or student trainers up front. He wants to come back out and watch the end of this after the x-rays were taken back there. With that right knee iced or bandaged at this point.
Thoughts are with Paul Puslusny, hope that he is going to be okay. Not a surprise that he wants to come back out here and finish this season in uniform with his teammates.
1st and 10 after the 15-yard flag. Robinson throws to Ethan Kilmer. Gain of 4, 2nd and 6 ahead. 4 minutes left.
Whether Michael Robinson ends up being the winning quarterback tonight, there's not going to be a whole lot of celebrating. He's going to need an ice tub. He's been hit, whether it's been within the whistle or after the whistle. This time it was after the whistle. Look at his body. I mean, he goes limp. Wembley throws him down late.
Yeah, you heard the referee, Jerry McGinn, say it was the throwdown, not the late hit, that caused the flag. And the moving by Florida State's defense caused motion by Penn State and a 5-yard flag.
Front snap. False start on the offense. Number 43. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
Ethan Kilmer, the receiver, flinched. Here are our FedEx air and ground stats tonight. By air, more Florida State, 227 to 164. By ground, and not so much with Florida State. 20 rushes, 23 yards. Penn State, 36 for 131 without their 1,000-yard back, Tony Hunt, who hurt his ankle in the first. 3 minutes remaining in regulation. Robinson fumbles the shotgun snap. No room, no receiver. No play. Lawrence Timmons, the sophomore, who did a great job of rushing the passer in the loss to Florida, will win over Virginia Tech. 4th Knowles sack of the night.
As we've seen tonight, the timing gets disrupted by the snap, but look at the coverage downfield. Even if he had time, where's he going to go with the football? Not only the coverage, but look how much work, again, number 12 has to put in every single time, running for his life. This time, and catch him and bring him down for the sack.
Florida State has defensive confusion right now. They have 9 guys on the field, and they have to take a timeout. They have 2 remaining. They didn't have 10. They had 9 players on the field. The first time Joe Paterno played in the Orange Bowl back in the late 60s. At the end of the game, Pepper Rogers had 12 players on the field in that 1969 Orange Bowl that Kansas was eventually beaten by Joe.
ABC Sports coverage of the FedEx Orange Bowl continues.
Each team 2 timeouts remaining. We'll come back for 3rd and 14. All tied at 16. It's 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. 3 receivers for Michael Robinson. Florida State backing into coverage. They only rush 4. Robinson has a lane and he throws to Smoko for a first down. So the tight end who caught the 4th and 15 against Northwestern, a difference-making end-of-the-game drive that defined their season, catches 3rd and 14 for 20 yards.
Well, 3rd and long. It's one-on-one matchup here with a big tight end at 6'5", going against the undersized Kyler Hall. Kyler Hall's had a great night tonight, but in coverage on 3rd and long, Michael Robinson able to take
Florida
advantage.
State confused. Norwood behind the secondary. He's at the 15, down to the 11-yard line. Florida State got caught exchanging personnel. Norwood takes it down the field.
Great job with a hurry up here by Dalen Hall and Michael Robinson. They caught everybody off guard. Florida State's looking around. They're lucky that they were able to catch up to Norwood. Look at the Florida State defense running on and off the field, trying to substitute. A couple guys lucky to get off the field, but nobody is in position to make a play. A lot of confusion. Buster Davis, a linebacker on Jordan Norwood, could not make the play.
Each team 2 timeouts as we spin down to 100 seconds left. Norwood comes to the sideline. All they need is a field goal to take the lead. Austin Scott stopped up, nowhere to go. Florida State should think about a timeout here, and they're going to take one with 1:27 left. And the Noles had to burn a timeout, so 2 in 3 snaps. Substitution issues. 9 people on the field the first time, and there's Kevin Steele, a very good coach, who said, we messed it up. It's not the kids' fault. We made the mistake. 9 guys on the field, and then as Penn State went to the quick no huddle, getting the wrong personnel out there or not enough, gets Penn State in a position where they can win the game.
Something they have not shown, Mike, the entire game. Great time to show the hurry up there. Obviously, not only with the time, but after a first down, you would think they would sit back and wait. Right. After the first down, they hurried it, and that's what caught the coaches off base.
Now time for our Chrysler passing playbook. As all those players go visit the Eastern Blusney. This play a moment ago.
Well, this is a team that has had to try to look for the fewest opportunities that they have seen all year long. But seeing Buster Davis as a middle linebacker, confused, looking around, trying to match up one-on-one with Jordan Norwood. There's a matchup to Michael Robinson. His eyes probably lit up when he saw that, made the throw. And this, let's not forget, let's keep this in perspective. This is a Penn State team that has struggled these last 2 years. This is a 13 fifth-year seniors in the starting 22. Very determined football team throughout the year, and they've been pushed by Florida State, and they have fought back tonight.
With 2nd down and 12, Florida State can stop it one more time. In motion is Hahn, the fullback. Running is Austin Scott. Good play in the backfield by Broderick Bunkley. Took Austin out of his shoe. Timeout called by Florida State. It's last one here with 1:22 to go. Kirk, you talked about those 13 fifth-year seniors over on the Penn State side. 7 wins in a 2-year stretch, led by a junior Pusluzny. But those other players, great team leadership from this group. And really, they wanted to bear part of the responsibility for bringing Joe Paterno back up. As much as they love Penn State, and as you said in the first half so well, They didn't come to be a part of 3- and 4-win seasons. They came to be a part of the man who was the winningest coach in the sport until a couple of years ago. They have a great internal pride in restoring some of the pride to Penn State football.
Imagine coming to Penn State, thinking about winning Big Ten championships and playing for the legendary Joe Paterno, and having to go through a 3-win season, a 4-win season. You go home for the holidays. What's wrong? What happened to you guys? You go to class. You're embarrassed. They had to live with that every single day. And that's what fueled their fire in the offseason leading into this year. They had the magic throughout the year. They've been pushed this game. They've shown great determination, but the team on the other sideline also, Mike, 3 losses late in the year, showed character themselves in the ACC title, and again tonight, 2 great teams playing with everything they have down to the final minute of the game.
Florida State cannot stop it. You would expect Penn State to run it, keep it in the middle. Robinson is just going to go forward to the 12-yard line. Didn't even bother with an exchange there. So they'll probably run the clock down, and it's kind of fitting. Kirk talked about the 13 50-year seniors. You've had so many freshmen contribute for Penn State, really an infusion of talent on this team, and a freshman kicker comes on for the biggest kick of the season. Kevin Kelly. They'll have an attempt here from the middle of the field, about 29 yards out. They're going to let the play clock run all the way down to siphon the time as we're down to 40 seconds left, and then take a timeout. The timeout with 35 left, and the field goal attempt coming.
What a great bowl season.
I was just thinking the same thing right before that snap. It's been a good game since that. We all gathered and watched, ordered room service, and had a terrific time watching the wonderful game between Georgia and West Virginia in the Nokia Sugar Bowl, as they came back from 28-0, almost get back. And you felt as you watched that game, much like this game, that the team that was losing was actually ahead. West Virginia maintained and held them off. And tomorrow night, the ultimate game of the season, one of the most anticipated matchups in recent memory. USC has won 34 in a row, Texas 17. The Rose Bowl game presented by Citi. Our coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Keith Jackson and Dan Fouts tomorrow night. And Bowden watching in the stand.
Of course, College Game Day 7 to 8 on ESPN. Myself and Chris and Lee will break down that game and have some fun with that Rose Bowl.
All right, here we go. Kevin Kelly, the freshman, officially a 29-yard attempt. His first of the game. The lefty for the lead. He missed it to the left.
Can I say it?
Wide left?
Wide left.
Yeah,
but the other side. And Dan Bowden said wide left for the first time, goes the other way. Woo!
Florida State out of timeouts. They take over at their own 20.
Shake it off.
Because you're probably going to need
it. You're going to need him in overtime.
Not the greatest hold. The exchange as it came back, it got there, but it didn't look good to the kicker as he's coming in. And he just blew it to the left.
You'll say, let's go to overtime.
Kevin Kelly, who has gone to records like Craig Fayak back in the 1990 season. He was the freshman kicker for Penn State. First one to be a freshman and kick for the Nittany Lions in a decade and a half. Missed that one to the left. And we will go to overtime.
Remember that look, Mike, because he could have a chance to win the game for Penn State and have a completely different look on his face if he's able to win this Orange Bowl for the Lions.
So the bowl season that has given us great comebacks, wonderful finishes, dramatic action, now gives us overtime. The 29-yard chip shot from the lefty, no good, and the game goes on. All tied at 16. Paterno and Bowden, the two winningest coaches in major college football, go on. ABC Sports presentation of the FedEx Orange Bowl will continue after this message and a word from your ABC station. Back here for overtime. That's Clint Purvis, the team chaplain. A moment with Drew Weatherford. Quarterback will be important at overtime. Right after the miss, Joe Paterno with a pat for his kicker, Kevin Kelly. Both of these coaches have won big games and lost big games, and they understand in the small window it's essential. In the big picture, there's character to be built and foundations to leave young men with. If you're not familiar with the college overtime, this is just a refresher. There's no sudden death, not like the NFL. Each team will get equal possessions beginning at the opponent's 25, so essentially you start in field goal range. Repeat the process until the tie is broken. Once we get to a third overtime, you go for two. The coin toss is huge. You want to play defense first so you know what you need to do in the bottom of that overtime period.
Offense, defense, or which end of the field? Okay, who's talking? Okay, what do you call it? You call heads? Okay, this is heads, this is tails. Okay, here we go. This is heads. You want to go defense first. So you get the ball, which end of the field you want to go? So you're going to be an offense. No. We're staying at one end of the field. Okay, so we're going to defense, and we're going to go on that end, right? Okay, so you're not like, you're right here. Penn State, and let them go on defense. Florida State will be on offense. This end of the field.
You better play down at this end because that's where your Florida State band and students are. So that's the way the nose should go. You stay down there for the whole overtime period, which comes your way next. Let me remind you that your late local news comes your way as soon as we are done on ABC. Very late here on the East Coast, but not every night that you get the best coaches from a win perspective in the history of college football going head-to-head. Late local news coming up. Jimmy Kimmel live as well. Florida State begins the ball to start overtime.
Leon Washington has been a factor these last few drives and getting him the football. Let's see if they try to do that.
Out of the gun, Drew Weatherford throws a screen to Lorenzo Booker, shoots up, or that's Willie Reed, beg your pardon, to the 16-yard line. Reed, the receiver, lined up for the short screen. Gain of 9. Sean Lee made the tackle. He's playing for Paul Posluszny.
Mike, they actually used Leon Washington this time as a decoy, and it really worked. You saw the linebackers moving off to the right, especially Sean Lee, the freshman. They came back to the screen to Willie Reed, and a nice seam there for Reed to pick up some yardage.
Having gone to the tall receiver, Greg Carr, Penn State only had 10 on the field. They run in Tim Shaw, the linebacker, as the fullback goes forward and has enough for the first down. They try to pull it out as he's down, but James Coleman hangs on, and they'll move the chains.
Drew Weatherford doesn't know what to do with himself on a 2nd and 2, second and 1. They haven't seen that all night.
Well, Coleman's carried 9 times for 6 yards. As a matter of fact, Coleman has 7 career touchdowns, all of them from a yard out. He defines your short yardage back.
Florida State 23 yards rushing. It's going to be very tough for them. They're going to have to continue to throw more than likely to get the ball into the end zone.
Freshman Richard Goodman from just north of here in Fort Lauderdale, the slot receiver. Leon Washington runs, trying to get past the defense. Denied. Scott Paxson, the defensive tackle, holding on as Dan Connor made the initial hit. There's the sophomore from Pennsylvania.
You have to really admire this Penn State defense, Mike. We're in overtime right now. They are still flying and coming up. And you know what? Dan Connor has taken the torch here from Paul Posluszny and become the go-to guy and the leader in this huddle for Penn State since Paul has been down with the injury.
Posluszny watching near the end zone, opposite of where the play is going. 2nd and 13. 4 receivers, 4-man rush. Weatherford, nothing open. Scrambling for it, picks up a block from Washington. A flag is down, back in the middle of the line. I believe Scott Paxson, the defensive tackle, was held. And it's a big penalty. Number 13 assessed against Florida State. Another 3, maybe 4 have been declined.
Holding on the offense. Number 68. 10-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage. Replay second down.
Jackie Claude has had his hands full with Jay Alford and Scott Paxson on the inside. And we have seen them able to get by Claude, and many times he has to pull that big bear claw out and try to hold on to anything, a jersey, and that time that's exactly what he did as Paxson got in there. And that was a coverage sack. Good coverage downfield, but give Weatherford credit to try to keep the play alive.
When you're the team that's on defense first in overtime, if for some reason you come up with an interception or a fumble and you score, the game ends. 2nd and 23 for the first down. Play action, Weatherford throwing the deep ball, the jump ball for Carr, who couldn't get there. What a game Anwar Phillips has played at the right cornerback spot. He had some safety help, but he has not been beaten on that sideline tonight.
Once Florida State gets down into that red zone area, Tom Bradley told me the number one thing we're ready to defend is the taller receivers in a jump ball situation. Anwar Phillips on one side, Alan Zamitis on the other have come into this game and handled, for the most part, these Florida State receivers very well when they've gone up into the air to try to bat the ball away, especially Anwar Phillips.
Sismasia made the game-time field goal from 48, missed an extra point, one of the reasons we're here in overtime. Weatherford has room to run to get closer to field goal range, but he lobs it. Phillips lost his coverage, and it was a poor pass out of bounds. Carr couldn't get there. For just a second, Phillips looks like he lost where he was. Now we've got a long field goal coming. We had the missed extra point after the Florida State second touchdown in the second quarter. And then with time running down, not the greatest exchange, center to holder, but a missed kick by the freshman Kelly.
I think Weatherford made a mistake there trying to go for the home run. Just scramble and pick up 8 yards, 5 yards. Give your kicker a much better chance.
Good from 48. Sismasia from 44, drifting to the right. He missed it. It was on line. It was one of those fades. It just kind of dies to the right as it loses distance. Now all Penn State needs is a field goal to win.
The kick had the distance, Mike, but I just think that as a young quarterback, he's going to get a chance to learn from this, and if he's put into this situation again, he'll try to pick up the yardage. The kick is pretty good. He just missed it. Missed it off to the right by about a foot.
Was Leslie watching at that far end zone? And Michael Robinson knows now all
Let's go win it. Let's go win it.
Lead the team to a field goal. This could be his final drive as a Penn State Nittany Lion, the undisputed leader and captain of this team. Run with Austin Scott. It's about a yard. Buster Davis brings him down shy of the 23. Now the freshman kicker, Kevin Kelly, as you saw Joe Paterno go right over to him. Redemption is a couple of snaps away when you're a kicker, especially with the collegiate overtime system.
Hey, if you're Florida State's defense, you want to try to keep them, obviously, from getting a first down, but continue to attack the line of scrimmage because you have a kicker coming off such a close field goal, 29-yard field goal. You wonder how much of that becomes psychological on that next kick.
2nd and 8. A Robinson designed quarterback draw. Barely got out of Bunkley's tackle, but a good play by Broderick limits the game. A reminder, your late local news on this ABC station coming up next, except for those of you on the West Coast. Mike Tirico, Kirk Herbstreit, Aaron Andrews. What great bowl championship series games we've seen. And within like about a 400-yard or mile, I should say, bucket from Morgantown, West Virginia to Columbus, Ohio to State College, Pennsylvania, we could see 3 of the BCS champs if Penn State can just kick a field goal. From here, it would be just about 40 yards. Robinson, quarterback draw again, gets 2 Makes it a 38-yard field goal for the lefty from the middle of the field.
Remember that face we were showing a little earlier from Kelly about how disgruntled you could see as a freshman. He felt like he let Joe down. He let the whole team down. Second opportunity, see if he can capitalize on it. You knew he'd get it. Now he just has to hit the field goal.
And Florida State, you get timeouts in overtime that you don't carry over, so no reason not to burn them and make them think about it a little bit. You know, Kirk, this whole buildup of the two great coaches going head-to-head, one born in Birmingham in November of 1929, kept that Alabama twang, was a quarterback, a little All-American, and that guy born in Brooklyn, December of 1926, went to Brown, still holds the Brown record for interceptions, and followed Rip Engel to Pennsylvania to become an assistant coach on Rip's staff at Penn State in 1950. He's been at Penn State for 56 years. Bobby Bowden went to Florida State after some time at Samford, and then Bobby went to West Virginia. Coached for 5 years, was hung in effigy when West Virginia was struggling. They weren't very happy with his record, but turned it around, came back to Florida State where he is an assistant, has had his amazing run as coach. Two people who are on the Mount Rushmore of college football, and their teams have played with the heart, desire, and character that those two men have been an example of for almost a half-century in the game. Kelly from 38 for redemption, for the win. Missed it again, wide left. And the game goes on.
I think Bobby Bowden thought he made it.
Looked that way. Looked like the troopers were walking him over for the handshake.
Yeah. Another wide left for Kelly in Penn State. Holds good, kick good, kick looks good. He just missed it to the left.
Since halftime, we've had a safety and a field goal, a couple of missed field goals. That's not it, Bobby. Got more to do at 12:35 a.m. local. Set for our second overtime at the 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. For 80 years, the Goodyear blimp, one of America's most recognizable images, still floating overhead. The blimp was fully gassed tonight. You're reminded to be prepared for any weather on Goodyear's new Forterra tires featuring triple tread technology. Kelly's missed 2 field goals, Sismasia 1 and an extra point. We get the rare scoreless overtime.
Hold is perfect. He actually hits it clean. He's missed it to the left. And now you wonder how much Joe's doing everything he can because he knows he's going to be another opportunity. But Mike, how much now for a freshman kicker becomes head games, mindset. And I love kickers.
Oh, yeah, right. Tell me about it.
Documented throughout the year on Thursday night.
Right. You love kickers.
Oh, those kickers.
You flip the order now. Penn State will get the ball first, then Florida State will get the chance to respond. Kirk, obviously the 2003 Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State's national championship win over Miami. And I remember the Orange Bowl, Michigan and Alabama, which was a missed extra point, one in regulation, one in overtime. Those are the only 2 BCS games I can remember that have gone to overtime. So rare on this historic night with Bowden against Paterno. Robinson from the 25 looks down the middle. Jordan Norwood, what a hit by Buster Davis. And Norwood is shaken up. But gets back up quickly, gain of 5.5.
Mike, we've been playing over 4 hours and we're still swinging for the fences here with Buster Davis. What a big hit by Davis on Norwood coming across the middle.
And Legal with his shoulder, with his head up. Penn State going with a little pep in their step from the 19. Robinson tries the shot for Dion Butler, just over his outstretched arm. Butler tried to find it in the end zone. It would have been redemption. Earlier this week, he got lost at sea while riding on a jet ski. He went out racing jet skis with his teammates. They were going to race back into land. One problem. he ran out of gas. Another group of jet skiers came back, didn't get him. A boat finally rescued him. He was petrified.
Sure that wasn't just being a freshman?
No, it wasn't.
Initiation?
He was really scared. 3rd and 4 from here. The field goal's 37. Robinson throws to Ethan Kilmer, who caught it at the 10, at the 5. Airborne like Elway to the 1-yard line. In the stadium where John Elway won his 2nd and final Super Bowl, by the way.
Kilmer's going to be off to the left, Mike, and just drag across the middle of the field and come in to a vacated area. The linebackers blitz from the middle to the outside. Ernie Sims loses Kilmer coming across the middle. When Kilmer made that catch, he turned upfield and picked up huge yards for Penn State.
Personnel late. Matt Hans, the fullback. Austin Scott is the tailback. Bouncing it to the outside. Cannot get there. Pat Watkins, the safety, who's been everywhere, along with Buster Davis, holding on for dear life.
Austin Scott, I don't know why he's trying to reach for the goal line. He's about 3 yards away. He better keep that football in tight. It's a long way away from trying to reach for that end zone.
With Buster Davis flying in there, too. 77,773 on hand. Most of them are still here. Why would you leave? What a great night this has been. Robinson, option to Scott, to the end zone. Penn State touchdown. That was the 83rd snap of defense Florida State's guys had to deal with, compared to 62 for the Penn State defense. Scott, 1 touchdown all year, the first one and maybe the last one. Now the shaky confidence of the kicker, Kelly. Extra point, no problem. Florida State must score 7 to send us to triple overtime.
Like Florida State's defensive line is submarining, trying to get in there and try to take away anything up the middle. Dalen Hall elects to take it to the outside and use the speed of either Michael Robinson keeping it on the option, or if they take him away, dishing it to the outside. He felt pressure by Bryant, picks it to the outside, picks up a block, and an easy walk-in for Austin Scott.
In what could have been Michael Robinson's final play on the field for Penn State, unless Florida State can score. He led a very nice drive, hit a big 3rd and 4. Now Bobby Bowden sends his freshman quarterback out there to go up against that defense without Paul Posluszny, Butkus Award winner, who injured his knee and has now gone back to the locker room to watch OT. The freshman Weatherford. Can he keep this endless night going? Stepping up and throwing, complete for a first down. It is Willie Reed, the senior, trying to keep his career alive. Gain of 11, Dan Connor with the tackle.
Willie Reed represents the majority of Florida State's not only offense, but total yards when you include the special teams. And he has become the weapon. What I think has happened is Jeff Bowden is given up on the outside for now because the corners are doing such a good job that they're trying to move to the inside against the linebackers and safeties.
Greg Carr, big tall receiver near side. Richard Goodman in the slot. Weatherford looking for Carr, goes up, brings it down, and takes it down to the 1-yard line. 6'5", he finally wins a jump ball tonight.
Just as we talk about Jeff Bowden maybe giving up on the outside because of the play in number 1, Anwar Phillips goes back to him, and it takes an acrobatic catch that time by Carr, which he's been able to do a lot of times this year. It gives Florida State the ball now inside the 2-yard line. Nice touch by Weatherford, and a big catch that time by Greg Carr.
Somewhere in there is Ann Bowden. Sit down so the coach's wife can see. The big back Coleman dots the I. Weatherford keeping it. It's a long way away for a quarterback sneak.
especially a slow, delayed quarterback sneak. You better take it and go if you're going to sneak with it.
Strange call there, unless they're thinking if we get a half yard, we got that big back Coleman.
You saying it's 4-down territory right here?
Yes, sir. It's late, but it's not that late. Coleman, 7 career touchdowns, as we mentioned, all from a yard out. It's his final game. He's a senior from Tallahassee. He's 36. B.J. Dean's in there as well. Coleman's blocking. Dean's going up the middle. He's at the goal line. We're an extra point from triple overtime. Touchdown, FSU. Gary Sismasia, who's missed an extra point. Dean, another senior, shaken up. That's his first touchdown of the year. Sismasia had not missed an extra point in his FSU career. Just to keep the game going, we go to triple overtime. Again, the rules change when you get to overtime number 3. You must go for 2 points after you score a touchdown. I know tomorrow night's going to be good.
This isn't bad.
It's just, well, you know what? It is tomorrow now. It's 1:45. And overtime number 3 is next. Part of the Orange Bowl trophy and the MVP trophy, real live oranges. They're no longer ripe. They've been out in the heat too long. We have gone 4 hours and 26 minutes from the opening kickoff. And as mentioned, now in the 3rd overtime, after a touchdown is scored, you must go for 2. Florida State will get the ball first on offense. We remind you that at some point your late local news, followed by Nightline and Jimmy Kimmel Live. And if we're not careful, Charlie, Robin, and Diane are going to be in Times Square for Good Morning America by the time we will hand it directly to them. We'll skip right through ABC News now.
If you think you're tired at home, imagine being on the field. The fans look like they're tired. These players just continue to play in this heat. And I'm just really impressed with the character of these two teams and the fact that neither team, you think one of them would just maybe cave in emotionally and just give in because they're just fatigued. But we have not seen that from either side.
Not when you guys are coached by Bowden Paterno. You don't do that. From the 25, Weatherford has room to run. Drew Weatherford, the freshman, is twisted at the 21-yard line. And let's spend a second talking about the performance tonight of Weatherford, who is hobbled by that tackle. The 4th of 9 children. 3.3 grade point average in business, honored for his academics. Top freshman quarterback in the nation statistically this year. He hit the wall, lost 3 games, all in November. Came back and managed the game well against Virginia Tech. And against Penn State, that is a good night. When you have no running game, 26 rushes, 26 yards. Second and 6, 3-man front for the Nittany Lions. They cover with 8. Weatherford's throw is incomplete. They say it hit the ground. Carr is saying look at it, call a timeout to look at it. Again, every play is reviewed. They saw it on the big screen and had their thoughts. Now,
ball hits the ground, it's incomplete. But Greg Carr has been one of the biggest surprises this year for Florida State. Not only because of his size, Mike, but he's a basketball player who's just getting better as a football player. He had 9 touchdowns this year. He averaged 22 yards reception, and they're going to look at that, but
it's under review.
These guys have been on top of it tonight with the replay. Every single time, not only the close calls, but how quickly they get the information, and they come right back down to the referee. All night long, they have been consistent. The best I think I've seen all year.
One more look at it. You will see he ends up controlling it at the end, but the ground is used and his chest smothered against right there. It's no catch. As soon as you get the chest, the ball, and the grass all making a sandwich, and I'm starving, by the way, right now.
Yeah.
It's no catch.
Breakfast.
Yeah, it's no catch. I believe.
After review,
how quick
there
these
is
guys are.
indisputable video evidence that the call on the field was correct. The receiver had the ball, but the ball was on the ground. Pass is incomplete. Third down.
21 penalties, multiple reviews. Most have been upheld. I think all have been upheld calls. Jerry McGinn, Bruce Palmer, Troy Gray, Hugh Campbell, Ben Vasconcelos, James Brennan, John McDade, Matt Fitzgerald are the officials. Each one deserves their name mentioned. They've been outstanding as we head to play 152 of the night. 3rd and 6.
Remember, a lot of attention paid to the receivers on the outside. Always a chance for Willie Reed on the slot.
Weatherford throws. The receiver, Carr, slipped as he was trying to break on the out. So we'll have a field goal, 38 yards for Sismasia. Chris Hall, the punter, is holding. He has been near perfect in his 2 years as the Florida State holder. Miles Hodish snaps. Sismasia fading to the right again. Off the upright and no good.
It's the second overtime, second of the 3 overtimes that Florida State has missed their first field goal, and Penn State has had a chance to come back on the back end and capitalize with a potential game-winning field goal.
All kickers have movement in their ball. If you play golf, you know you hook it or it fades. And Sismasia, as you've seen consistently, has a ball that kind of tails and fades at the end. And that one just couldn't be tucked inside the right upright. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
I don't have a ball that fades or a slice.
And Michael Robinson takes the field again in that situation you got to dream about when you visualize. Give me a chance to end my career in the Orange Bowl in front of 77,000. Don't leave it up to my freshman kicker. Chance to end the game on your own right here. Austin Scott looking for room. He's going to lose a yard. Llewellyn banging at the ball as Cameron Wimbley holds him up.
It's the best the Penn State offense has been defended all year. You could go back and pick some games where at times they were contained and held. The Ohio State-Penn State game was a close game. But for an entire game, now we're going into the 3rd overtime. And the reason, when you're back and look at this film, is the Florida State defensive line and Mickey Andrews' scheme of pressuring, not being intimidated, but at Penn State speed on the outside.
Terrell Golden is coming the game in the slot. Dion Butler clears space. King on the screen is brought down a couple of yards shy of the first down. Watkins and McGrew. Patton Sam made the tackle.
I just love how Galen Hall is willing to give Justin King, who is, let's face it, he is a corner or a receiver. But when they're going to throw a flare pass or a screen, sometimes they'll put in a tailback like they like to do with Derek Williams. But with the injuries, they've got to put Justin King, he's about 6 foot, 179 pounds, in there to make that play.
3rd and 2, play clock running down. They have brought the kicker on here, and now we'll take a timeout. So Paterno is likely in the mindset of, if there's a bad snap, as you would be at the end of the game, kick it on 3rd down instead of 4th down.
I don't know, Mike, I think it might have been a little bit more about confusion. Maybe they're yelling for certain personnel groupings. Maybe the field goal group went out on the field because with a timeout and 3rd down, I understand the logic, but why not try to move the ball with a struggling kicker, get the ball to the middle of the field, and then use your timeout.
Lefty kicker, he's missed 2 to the left. On the right hash, might be more comfortable here at this point.
I'm more concerned about making the kick than worrying about the snap.
I'm saying on the right hash, give a better angle because he is the lefty kicker.
But my thought would be, and again, I think it might have been confusion, but my thought would be, let's not kick on 3rd down and worry about a bad snap. Let's try to use 3rd down to get it in the middle of the field and then burn that timeout.
I agree with you. I was shocked. Yeah, I grabbed your arm.
What's going on here?
23. What's he doing?
Get the eye of the tiger, Kevin. Eye of the tiger. There you go. Couple fake smiles. You're all right. Shake it off.
The offense is coming back on the field.
I'm loose, guys. I'm ready.
They're going to move it to the middle of the field here. Let's see what they'll do. Tight formation. It's only 3rd and 2. Florida State.
Florida State. That is their final charge timeout.
Morning rush hour could be a problem on I-95 out here.
Yeah, that should be good.
Traffic letting out, people heading to work in the morning.
Or the airport.
For those of you just joining us as we are in triple overtime, let's go back through the highlights of OT. We had a scoreless first overtime as Sismasia's long field goal faded to the right. He missed it. Then Kelly had the opportunity to miss, and like the field goal, he missed in the final 30 seconds wide left. Then Penn State, OT number 2. Austin Scott 2-yard run, a response from B.J. Dean from a yard out. Then this third overtime had Sismasia, another fading kick off the upright and a miss, and has us here to 3rd and 2 at the 17-yard line. Sismasia and B.J. Dean's
personal protectors there,
calling over players to block the kicker from view. 3rd down, Michael Robinson will just keep it, run it to the right, pick up the 1st down at the 13-yard line. How about the fullback leading the way there? Injured Florida State players. Hopefully Broderick Bunkley is cramping as other players have been tonight. And it's not anything more serious than that. While we have a second, let me remind you, the executive producer of ABC Sports, Mike Pearl, our senior producer, Bob Toms, coordinating producer, ABC's College Football, Bob Goodrich. Phil Orleans produced today's game, directed by Mike Schwab. Bipon Vij, our technical director, associate producers, Jonathan Lebovich, Craven Martin, Steve Ackles, Jim Galliero, associate directors, Bill Amin, Chris Watt, production assistants, Ryan Billy and Aaron Snyder. Christy Hallis, our production manager, Bob Swider, technical manager, Greg Swartz, operations. Tim Wyckoff, Calvin Haywood, Kevin Bierman with the studio operation in Pasadena. Ryan Fattini, computer stats, scorebug operator, Scott Higrick. Thank you to Mike Black, Josh Johnston, Marty Aronoff, and Chelsea Tubb here in the booth all year. Our privilege to be with that team. 1st and 10 from the 13. Hand off Austin Scott. About a yard to the 12. Scott has carried 26 times tonight, and another Florida State player is down as the kicker Kelly comes back on the field here. That is Andre Fluellen shaken up. His defense has been on the field 87 snaps. About to tell you that Scott, the running back, has carried 26 times tonight for the injured Tony Hunt. He carried 40 times all year. Okay, Fluellen is up.
Mike Kelly looks anxious. He looks like he's got the look and he's ready to try to put it through here. I thought Michael Robinson was probably telling Joe, let's get it down to the extra point. Let's get way inside. It's only 2nd down. Let's keep moving it down closer.
So the freshman Kelly, who's missed 2, including 1 from this distance, 29 yards, and a Jason Ganter's hold, a chance to win this historic coaching matchup in triple overtime. Penn State, winner of the 2006 FedEx Orange Bowl. And the season of restoration ends with exhilaration and devastation. Quite a moment, quite a picture, quite a story of individual redemption in Michael Robinson. As Penn State wins 26-23, Aaron Andrews is down there with Joe.
Well, Coach, what does it mean to you going into triple overtime against your good buddy, Bobby Bowden, who's standing graciously right here?
I thought we're too old for this triple overtime. Yeah, it's almost past my bedtime, Bob. We'll get home.
Bobby, you've been through situations obviously like this before with your kickers. What do you say to Gary?
Well, he did the best he could do. The kickers are going to miss, and sometimes you miss at the wrong time. Joe had the same problem there for a while. Both of us are having the same problem.
He certainly did. I asked Joe right before you came over, what does it mean to be in a game like this, going into triple overtime against your good pal like Joe?
No animosity. No animosity. I mean that. You know, there might be somebody you can't stand.
I thought the both teams played so hard.
It was just,
you can't get down on one play.
I thought we played good as we could play, Joe. I thought we played good as we could.
Seeing how much you both went through with this game, nerves being shot, any of you thinking twice about that retiring statement?
You do better than that, Carol.
All right, guys, back up to you. This is a mob down here.
Aaron, thank you. With the class and joy that they've brought to this whole week, how about Bobby Bowden coming over to join Joe Paterno there?
What a way to see both teams play hard. But, Mike, I'm going to remember this effort from Florida State, but Penn State ending their season after getting it started back in September. What a dream ride it's been for Joe Pa and the Nittany Lion Nation.
Joe Paterno edges one win closer to Bobby Bowden, 359 to 354. It took nearly 5 hours till 1 in the morning after several missed field goals, 2 by Kevin Kelly. That one wasn't exactly comfy, but it is good. He bangs it through and ends one of the longest, one of the most exciting, one of the most memorable and clearly historic matchups in the Bowl Championship Series history. Joe Paterno's team outlasts Bobby Bowden. And Bobby, just for a second, thought maybe we'll get a 4th overtime. But no, Kelly made it. And Gary Sismacia, who had 2 long field goals and the extra point that he missed with a private hole. Back for a final word after this.